Ontario voters will decide on the future of our province. Live from the CHCH studios covering Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara. This is your home, your vote.
Good evening and welcome to Your Home, Your Vote, a special presentation of CHCH News. I'm Matt Ingram. It's 9 p.m., so the polls have now closed. The votes are in, and now it's down to the count. Tonight, we're going to bring you live coverage of the results as they come in, connect with our reporters in the field, and bring you analysis from our political panel. But before we go any further, let's talk about what's needed for a win. First, let's take a look at the seat count at Queen's Park when this election was called. Of the 124 seats in the Ontario Legislature, Doug Ford's PCs held 79, the NDP had 28, the Liberals had just 9, the Green Party 2, and there were 6 independents, some of whom are from our area. We should also note that 12 seats is the number required for official party status. Now, also keep in mind that the magic number of seats to form a majority government is 63. So that is the minimum amount the Ford government will need to secure to keep their majority at Queen's Park. Anything less means we are in minority territory. Now, while we wait for the results to come in, I'm going to explain to you how we'll be bringing them to you. I'm going to be here on the CHCH decision desk bringing you the overall picture of tonight. But I won't be staying here. I'm going to get up, walk around the newsroom, and take you to some of our other team members who are covering this election in different ways for us, beginning with Emily Taylor. She is manning our key ridings desk, Emily.
Yeah, Matt will be watching all of our candidates and maps throughout the night, bringing our viewers all of the latest information and the results as they happen.
And speaking of those results, I want to talk about the very last poll that was taken before today, Election Day. It's an abacus poll, and it shows that the support for the PC party has actually increased, and now they're forecast to get a bigger share of the vote than they had in 2022. The poll showing the Tories have increased their lead by 4 points since February 15th. The Liberals have increased their support by 1%, while the NDP have lost 5 points, and the Greens are down 1.
Matt, that's right. We're just hearing also some polling stations have extended their hours, including 9. There are 9 in total, most of which are in the GTA. As the polling has long predicted a third consecutive PC majority, but many seats in our area are still up for grabs. Some longtime NDP strongholds could even flip blue based on recent polling. But of course, the only polling that really matters is the one on Election Day. We'll be bringing you all of that information tonight. This is a look at one of the maps we'll be following in our key ridings of Hamilton, Halton, Niagara, and surrounding areas like Brantford, Halton, Norfolk, or Mississauga there. We'll be taking a look at the races as they stand as the votes are tallied tonight and throughout the evening. I'll send it back over to you, Matt.
All right, thanks very much, Emily. Now, we are starting to get some early numbers at the bottom of our screen, so keep that in mind as we go forward. Now, I've walked over to the back wall in our studio where we'll be connecting with our field reporters this evening, beginning with Jason Gaidola, who is on the Hamilton Mountain, covering a very close contest between the NDP, the Liberals, and the PCs. Jason.
Good evening, Matt. A must-watch riding here tonight, which one that has no incumbent after former MPP Monique Taylor decided not to seek re-election in Hamilton Mountain. But the proverbial tale of the tape starts with the NDP candidate Kojo Demte. Currently, I'm right now at his watch party here at Lamasso Restaurant on Upper Ottawa. Demte has not arrived just yet, but some of his supporters have so far. Demte, a very well-known here in Hamilton, an activist who's been in the forefront at many social and political movements in the city, a frequent delegate at Hamilton City Council. He is looking to, again, reclaim the area for the NDP. But what makes this a must-watch riding is the contentious history between Demte and Liberal candidate Don Danko. Now, Danko, a Mohawk College instructor and a school trustee with Hamilton's Public School Board, has taken exception with each other. Danko calling Demte a defund the police activist during this campaign, while Demte has fired back, accusing Danko of being under the influence with developers. But despite that, Danko does come in with a very much a well-rounded pedigree, looking to bring the Liberals back into this riding. She's been at the forefront at Bonnie Crombie's campaign platform. And also running in this race is PC candidate Monica Cirillo, who we did not have a chance to speak to at all during this campaign period after she declined to do so with us. But that is a name to watch in this riding tonight. We'll be watching that closely as well. Representing the Greens, Joshua Chernega, a school teacher and a big advocate in the community. He is looking to also make some gains, feeling that the Green Party feels like they can make some gains here on Hamilton Mountain. As for tonight, there are other races happening in Hamilton. Another one to look closely to is the Hamilton Centre. The incumbent, Sarah Jama, running as an independent. She is going up against her former party. And the NDP has tapped Robin Lennox to represent their party in that riding. That should be another riding to definitely take a close look tonight. But for now, we will take it back to you, Matt.
All right, thanks very much, Jason. And we should mention that riding where Jason is, actually the latest polling shows that it is a toss-up between the Conservatives and the NDP. So we are definitely going to be watching closely this evening. Let's continue visiting our field reporters. Next up is Eric Vieno, who is in the riding of Niagara Falls and will be covering the Niagara region for us. Eric.
Yeah, Matt, I'm at Chip and Charlie's in Niagara Falls on Lundy's Lane. This is the headquarters tonight for NDP candidate Wayne Gates. He's the incumbent for the Niagara Falls riding, and we actually just took a look at the polls right now. He's actually leading ahead of who he's going up against, PC candidate Ruth Ann Newesteek, and the Liberal candidate is Shafoli Kapoor, and the Green Party candidate is Celia Taylor. Now, a little bit more about the incumbent Wayne Gates. He's been in this seat for 11 years. He was first elected in 2014, and in his time in office, his big focus and what he's told us in this campaign is healthcare. That's something we've heard a lot from the other candidates here in the Niagara Falls region, as well as the whole entire Niagara region. He's brought up that he wants to keep the Douglas Memorial Urgent Care Center in Fort Erie open as a South Niagara hospital is being constructed currently. And we didn't get a chance to speak with the PC candidate, but we did hear a few days ago from Fort Erie Mayor Wayne Reddekopp. He said that when he spoke to the PC candidate, she was also in favor of keeping the urgent care center open, even though that's not a part of the PC party policy. Now, leading up to 9 o'clock, we were seeing that the PC candidate was actually looking like very, very neck and neck with Wayne Gates, but obviously we just took a look at the polls. It's looking like he's pulling ahead. Last time I looked at 55%, while the PC candidate was at 30%. Now, just to mention some of the other issues that the candidates have been focusing on here in Niagara Falls, obviously housing, affordability, education, homelessness, but of course with the Niagara region being right next to the border, a major topic of discussion has been those potential tariffs from the U.S. They say if those tariffs go into effect, it would have a major impact on the community when it comes to affordability and jobs as well. Now, again, things are just getting started here at Chip and Charlie's, which is the headquarters for Wayne Gates. There's a bunch of supporters here right now. Wayne hasn't showed up quite yet, but once he does, we'll be sure to speak with him and see how the rest of the Niagara region is going. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. And we should mention Niagara is a very interesting storyline because it has the potential to go completely blue this evening. Now, we have one more reporter in the field we want to get to. Manisa Donabalan is covering the Halton region, and she joins us right now from Milton. Manisa.
Hi, Matt. I'm at the Legion in Milton right now, where PC incumbent candidate Z. Hamid is expected to show up later tonight. But right now, things are still a little bit slow right now. Supporters are just beginning to show up, and things are set up. According to the latest polls right now, it looks like Z is currently in the lead, but anything can happen tonight. There's a wide range of issues the residents are worried about. A big one is the need for infrastructure that keeps up with population growth. Milton has had a growth problem for a long time now, and public infrastructure, lack of retail centers, traffic congestion, and lack of public transportation is a problem in the city, especially with the population expected to grow even more. Other issues in the city also include the CN Intermodal Hub, education support, healthcare, and the quarry project in Campbellville. Some residents want the Ford government to stop the project, arguing that it would create hazardous water conditions, degrade air quality, and create dangerous conditions for communities near the site. But others say it'll provide an important resource and significant numbers of jobs. They'll also mention that Ford has voiced his opposition against the quarry in the past, so this could have an impact in this election. Also running for Milton is Catherine and Cyril Lencioni, the NDP for the NDP, Susan Doyle for the Green Party, and Christina Tasser-Dirksen for the Liberal Party. I spoke to her earlier this evening. Here's a look at what she said.
All right, we're going to get back to Manisa, but right now CHCH News is declaring a PC majority government. Doug Ford and the PC party has won its third term in office. Now, to get right into it, let's throw it over to Louis Bucko and the panel for their reaction to this third PC majority government.
All right, Matt, thank you. Here on our colorful panel set tonight, where I have the privilege of speaking with our political analysts, and let's jump right into it. Randy Rath, longtime Queen's Park producer. 9:10 p.m. we're calling it for the PC majority. Your reaction?
I don't think there's much of a surprise there, but there's still a reason to keep watching us, and that's to see who takes second place, who becomes the official opposition. Right now it's pretty close between the NDP and the Liberals, so it looks like both of them are going to get party status, which is a big thing, particularly for the Liberals. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's a very important thing to see who is the official opposition, and we should know that in. How long do you think?
Well, I mean, it took 10 minutes to declare a PC majority, so we'll have to watch. Former Liberal cabinet minister and MPP for Hamilton Mountain, Marie Butriani, is here with us as well. Are you encouraged by what you're seeing right now with the Liberals? We talked about getting 12 seats to be back at official party status, a big election for them. What are your early indications so far?
Well, I am hoping they get official party status. It makes a big difference. They have more money, they can get their message out more effectively, and they can represent their constituents more effectively as well. But if you permit me, I do want to say thank you to all the candidates that have put their hat in the ring, particularly those where the poll numbers showed they don't have much of a chance. Mm-hmm. That's really tough, and it takes a lot of courage, and our democracy demands that. So thank you on all our behalf, I'm sure, for doing that. And yes, I hope official opposition status, but at the very least, party status.
And Drew Fagan, former deputy minister at Queen's Park, with us here as well. You're also professor at the Monk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy. Very early call. Doug Ford wouldn't have called this election if he didn't think he could add to his seats or at least re-win a majority government. The gamble pays off, I guess, but to the surprise of nobody.
Yeah, the gamble does pay off, and it's not a surprise. And the other thing was, the planning for this election, which is an early election, had been going on for months. But in some ways, the rationale had changed. Originally, thinking was to get ahead of a federal conservative majority. Then it changed to him standing strong against Trump. That's what talked about as the federal environment completely changed. You know, this is historic. The PCs haven't won 3 majorities in a row since, I think, Leslie Frost in the 1950s. This is a big deal. This doesn't happen very often in Ontario politics. You think about Dalton McGuinty, who you were with, 2 majorities, then a minority. The Liberals had 4 governments because then Kathleen Wynne took over. 3 majority governments is quite something.
Yeah, and speaking of historic, voter turnout is a number we'll be watching a lot tonight. The last election in 2022, 44%. That was the lowest ever. Right. That number might be tough to beat with such a short campaign, and like we've been talking about, Randy, in the middle of winter too, which saw some significant snowfall.
It looks like this is the worst weather there's ever been historically historically for an election in Ontario, for an Ontario election. So that's a big thing, and I think that plays in Doug Ford's favor in that it you know, people that go out to vote on a day like this, in some areas of the province, you need to have a big giant pickup truck, or you've got to have a four-wheel drive, and you know, people that take transit and people that drive little small putt-putt cars, they're not getting out to the polling stations, so that works at Doug Ford's favor.
Less advanced voting days, just a shorter campaign, and the benefit of door knockers that the PC party had. They had paid canvassers going out there. They had a lot more money. Marie, when you look at how the Conservatives use their advantage in such big categories, spending, volunteers, official party, right, being the incumbent government, they did have a lot in their favor going into this race.
Yeah, politically it was smart to hold it now. It was in his favor. I still think it was an unnecessary election, and I'll say that for my party too, when they do things like this. The reason being he had to fight Trump's tariffs. You could fight Trump's tariffs as premier and as an MPP much stronger than as a candidate. But I think politically he saw an opportunity, he took it, and that's politics.
Drew, what are you going to be watching for the rest of the night? Now that we've called the PC majority, what intricacies of the races are you going to be watching, or big picture?
Well, one question is whether he gets a larger majority than he did last time. That was certainly part of the rationale. If he gets something under 79 seats, then again you ask, why bother in the middle of winter? You know, and it will be interesting to see the other two parties. There has been a race throughout the campaign for second place. It does look like the Liberals will come back to official party status, which is significant. Just want to make one point about a third majority. The record of this government, and for a variety of reasons, the pandemic, things came at them, but you look at economic growth, you look at housing, which has become a fundamental issue. You look at healthcare and the challenges there. But economic growth in particular, growth has been slower between 2018 and today than previous governments, whether it was the Harris government, PCs, or the McGuinty government, Liberals. So in some ways, the record is mediocre compared to the extraordinary political record that has come out of this third majority.
All right, later on the panel, we'll be joined by Simon Kiss, Associate Professor of Political Science at Wilfrid Laurier. But before Laurier University, excuse me. Before that happens, Matt, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Louis. Now I want to bring back in former Queen's Park correspondent and CHCH's resident political analyst, Keith Leslie. Keith, Ford was plagued by the Greenbelt scandal, which the RCMP is now investigating. He's come under tons of criticism for his handling of healthcare, education, Ontario Place, the Science Centre, a lot of things. Yet here we are, a historic third majority government. Why do you think this happened?
The early election call. None of it really stuck to this premier. You could be a Teflon premier for this stuff. And I think it's all because of Donald Trump and the threat of tariffs. Trump has created such chaos in the news cycle that people want to stay with what they have right now. They don't want to change horses. There wasn't a big desire for change in this election. So from the get-go, Trump has played basically just perfectly into Doug Ford's hands. The PC campaign was tailor-made for a threat like Donald Trump, and so they just stuck to their slogans. You know, Canada's not for sale. We're not going to be the 51st state. It really worked for Doug Ford. From the get-go, this was a race for second. And it clearly looks now like the Liberals will at least come back from the wilderness after two elections where they didn't even get official party status. They'll get there tonight. We need to see if Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie can win her seat in Mississauga East Cooksville. That's still a tight race for her. But overall, getting them back to official party status means a huge increase in funding. So right now, it's a matter of whether the NDP can hold on to official opposition status, or whether the Liberals can actually get enough votes, enough seats to challenge them for that. I don't think so. I think the NDP will end up being the official opposition, but the Liberals, a huge night for them just to regain official party status.
You brought up Trump and the tariffs. That has dominated the conversation this election cycle. Can you remember a time when there was an election so dominated by a foreign issue as opposed to any of the bread and butter issues that we normally see as the center of these election campaigns?
Certainly not a provincial election, especially when you're talking about tariffs, which is a federal issue to deal with. But because Doug Ford happened to be the chairman of the Premier's Conference at this particular time, it made it perfect for him. He's chairing that. He's getting all the publicity for that. So in the middle of the campaign, he was able to take 2 trips down to Washington, which, again, a premier wouldn't normally leave a province, let alone leave the country during an election campaign. But this issue, as I say, seemed tailor-made for the Ford campaign, and it's exactly what they wanted to win on. You need a steady thing. It's all about the economy. And it played. It worked well for them, and they got their majority. It looks like they might even be able to get a seat or 2 more than they had at dissolution. So that's exactly what he wanted.
All right, thanks very much, Keith. We're going to come back to you in a little while, but right now let's head over to the key ridings desk and Emily Taylor, who has a few updates for us. Emily.
Yeah, Matt, we're starting to see some of the results come in. Of course, CHCH News is calling a PC majority government. Some of our ridings are still in flux. Some of them have been called. So we do have some very early results coming in. I want to take a look at the map of Hamilton here. So at the time of dissolution of our 5 Hamilton ridings, 3 of them were held by NDP MPPs. It's early result. We are seeing quite a bit of blue in Hamilton. Let's take a closer look at some of these ridings, though, starting in Hamilton Centre. That will be one to watch tonight. Incumbent Sarah Jama was elected with the New Democrats in 2023 in the by-election with 53% of the vote, but soon after was removed from caucus and sat as an independent. She's again running as an independent, but she's up against the new NDP challenger, family physician Robin Lennox. We have declared that she has been elected. She is holding the majority of the vote there, and that is those votes are still coming in throughout the evening. So looking to Hamilton East Stony Creek now, incumbent PC Neil Lumsden is poised to keep his seat. He's been at Queen's Park since 2022 after he flipped a traditionally NDP riding blue in that election. At dissolution, he was the Minister of Sport. Let's head over to the Hamilton Mountain now. This is one to watch, and Jason Gaidola is watching it closely. It has been considered a toss-up for quite some time, but currently PC candidate Monica Ciriello is leading. Now, the MPP, formerly the NDP, Monique Taylor, did step down, leaving this to be an open contest. And we were expecting it actually to lean PC initially based on, NDP initially based on initial polling, but we are seeing it lean blue currently. So this is Kojo Dempsey for the NDP. He is a former head of the Hamilton Center for Civic Inclusion, and Don Danko is the former chair of the Hamilton Mountain District School Board. Monica Ciriello, who is currently in the lead, is the City of Hamilton bylaw manager. And as I mentioned, Jason Gaidola is watching this riding closely. He'll be bringing us all the updates. To the west, NDP incumbent Sandy Shaw is running for a 3rd term in Hamilton West Ancaster Dundas. She took home 40% of the vote in 2022. That support was down slightly, but we're watching this one closely. They keep flipping back and forth. Currently, Sandy is in the lead, but this has gone back and forth with the PC candidate John Demick as well. In Flamborough-Glanbrook, we are saying that PC incumbent Donna Skelly has been re-elected for a 3rd term. Okay, those are our Hamilton ridings. Let's look at Niagara. It will be one to watch tonight as well. Polling suggests that PC candidates are gaining ground here and maybe even able to flip some longtime NDP ridings. We'll be watching tonight to see if that happens. In Niagara Centre, NDP incumbent Jeff Birch hoping to hold on to his seat. Port Colborne Mayor Bill Steele is running for the Progressive Conservatives in this riding as well. It would be the first non-NDP MPP to sit in Parliament since 1974. If he takes this riding, it looks like Jeff Birch is gaining a little bit of ground there, but they are neck and neck. Now, Eric Viano is following the race over in Niagara Falls, where NDP Wayne Gates is the incumbent. He has been declared elected, but there was a closer contest than I think the NDP was comfortable with. Now, we are expecting PC incumbent Sam Osterhoff to hold on to his seat in Niagara West, though he did drop a substantial 8% in the polls compared to 2018 to 2022. So we'll have to see those final numbers when they come in, but we are declaring he has been re-elected. Let's end off in St. Catharines now. NDP incumbent Jenny Stevens is in a tight race with Progressive Conservative and Niagara Regional Councillor Sal Sorrento. The two faced off in 2022 when Sorrento finished just 2,500 votes behind Stevens. We'll be watching this one closely as well. It looks like the two are close in the count currently. All right, we'll check back in soon, but for now, we'll go back over to you, Matt.
All right, thanks very much, Emily. Now let's take a look at some of the online trends heading into this election. I'm joined now by Amber Mack. She's a tech expert who's been following this closely. Amber, what were some of the most searched issues heading into election night?
It's a really good question. If I can just pick up on what Keith just said in terms of chaos in the news cycle, we've been seeing the same thing in social media, especially when we look at search results with Google Trends. So, for example, if we dive into these search results, we see that, hey, it hasn't been all about the election here in Ontario. People are searching a bunch of different things. The Ontario election over the past 24 hours just took the #2 spot, and just with about 200,000 searches over the past day. So really not top of mind for everyone necessarily. If we actually break that down a little bit and see what people are searching for, we get information in terms of people searching for things like where do I vote, a little more information about the candidates, and the list goes on. But a small number of people really heading to Google Trends or Google Search to search about the election, which hasn't really been what we've seen in past elections. Usually we would see these numbers to be a lot higher.
All right, I also wanted to ask you about some of these social media trends. What were people talking about online, discussing as we entered Election Day?
What's really fascinating when we think about social media today in 2025 is that so much has changed over the past few years. So it used to be that Twitter, or X as we now know it, was really the place to go for political conversations. What we're seeing now is that X continues to be one of the places to go. We know Doug Ford has a huge audience there, so lots of conversations taking place. But it's not the only game in town. So we're seeing this splintering of social media conversation. Doug Ford was there, and he talks a lot on X about fighting Donald Trump. But there are other players as well, like Threads, another platform that has risen to popularity over the past year. Bonnie Crombie, quite active there. And then finally, Blue Sky is also making a dent in terms of where people are going for conversations about politics online. This is a little bit more left-leaning, so no surprise that Merritt Stiles is there and building her audience there as well. But really, at the end of the day, what we're seeing again is this sort of splintering of political conversations across social media, and more everybody really living in their own bubble. So there's no longer just one place to go.
All right, that's tech expert Amber Mack. Amber, thanks very much. We're going to get back to you later this evening. We need a break here at CHCH News. We'll be back with much more election coverage in just a couple of minutes.
Special announcement Thursday only. It's the Bricks Great Canadian One-Day Sale. Get up to 35% off furniture. Select TVs below cost. Buy 2 major kitchen appliances and save the tax. Plus free delivery. Plus take 50 months to pay with no interest. The Bricks, saving you more.
Smooth melting Lindor by the Lind Maitre Chocolatier. You choose the moment. We provide the bliss.
Sounds like Ojo time. Feel the fun with all the latest slots and live casino games with no wagering requirements. Groovy.
We created these. We're 4 Canadian friends that quit our jobs because we hated our underwear. We couldn't take the chafing, riding up, and constant adjusting. So we spent 12 months creating our own. They're made with a premium modal fabric that's breathable like cotton, but it won't stretch out. And we designed them to contour and support the boys, preventing sticking. We also made it to Dragon's Den and received offers from 4 different dragons. So visit manmadebrand.com to experience ultimate crotch comfort today.
So stay. You don't just eat Cheerios for you. You do it for her. And for more of the moments that matter. Heart-shaped Cheerios, for the ones you love.
We're traveling all across Canada to talk to people about their hearts. Who wants to talk about their heart? Let me ask you a question. Do you have AFib?
I don't know.
Kind of hesitated, like, how do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know? Let me show you something. Okay. This is called Cardia Mobile.
Okay.
Do you know what this is? No. That right there is a personal EKG device. Would you like to take 30 seconds and do an EKG?
Absolutely.
With Cardia Mobile, you can take an EKG in just 30 seconds from anywhere. Cardia Mobile is proven to detect atrial fibrillation, one of the leading causes of stroke. Cardia Mobile can also detect normal sinus rhythm.
How much do you think this costs?
Probably in the hundreds.
$99.
Oh, wow.
That could be cheaper than a tank of gas.
Taking an EKG anytime, anywhere has never been easier. Don't wait. Get Cardia Mobile for you or a loved one today for just $99 at cardiamobile.ca or Amazon.
Welcome back. I've transitioned into the CHCH newsroom where our online team of journalists is hard at work making sure that you have the information you need on the CHCH website. Roger Collins joining me now. Roger, can you explain to people how they can use our website and our map to follow the results as they watch our show?
Certainly, Matt. This is the same tool we're using to get those live results on our website at chch.com. It's an interactive map with all the ridings, and if you click through it, you'll be able to see each candidate with the amount of seats that they've gotten, or sorry, the percentage of the vote that they've managed to take home. And if you click through it, you'll see all the different results live. This is all going to be the information that we're using to publish on our website. But again, chch.com, you'll get this at your home.
All right, thanks very much, Roger. So remember, folks, as you're watching tonight, open the laptop, open the cell phone, follow along. We have lots of extra information and a team hard at work bringing you all the little details that we don't always necessarily have time for here on TV. But speaking of TV, I'm going to throw it back over to Louis Bucko and our panel of politicos for more reaction on Doug Ford's third majority government. Louis.
All right, thank you, Matt. Back here with the panel. And Randy, a number that we were discussing is right now voter turnout looks like it's going to be about 27%. A very concerning number for just about all parties. PCs probably won't be complaining too much about it, but definitely an eye-opening number.
Well, we did the math. I hope we did it properly. And we figured that 12% of eligible voters voted for Doug Ford and are going to give him a majority. And, you know, that's unacceptable. Maria, you will agree, there's no excuse for people not to have gone to the polls. You know, there's people with mobility issues, there's the elderly, there was bad weather, but still, this is an abysmal turnout.
Yeah, I think we were taking our democracy for granted when we don't go and vote. Again, there are people that cannot, and it's difficult. But for those that can go out and vote, now I have to say there were obstacles, as we previously mentioned. We didn't have enough advanced voting days because of the shortened campaign period. So that definitely added to the problem. But no excuses. We have to get out and vote. People died for our right to do this. We really should.
Drew, we've been using the word historic. A third PC majority is historic. How much can they celebrate? How much of a big mandate can Doug Ford claim when really 12% of the eligible voters are the ones that put him in office with such a huge majority?
So they have a majority government. They wanted a third majority government for another 4 years, unless they call an early election next time, and they got that. But I think 27%, just want to echo my colleagues, is extraordinary, is historic in another way. And we really have to ask questions about that challenge, but also the decision in some ways. Yes, in politics, you do what you have to do to win a majority, and he did. But this is very damning with regard to the mandate that he has, I think, in certain ways. He won't take it, I don't think. They have a majority. But the other question, you know, over the last 20 years, governments, provincial, federal, have moved to fixed election dates for a reason. The sense of cynicism and the party in power could manipulate and decide on an election date. And we legislated in many instances for that. That was your bill. Yeah. That was your bill. And in this instance, it wasn't broken. There are ways to get around it, but there was a mentality that said we're moving on from something like this, and it was taken advantage of. And this is not the only place where that's happened, but that's something else.
We saw Kathleen Wynne in 2018 move it up just to avoid the municipal elections. This was much different. Doug Ford didn't need to call it. He didn't call it a few months earlier. He called it 16 months earlier. Is that right, Randy? I mean,
it was 16 months, and it's also the excuses he gave the public to call an election don't hold water at all. You know, he had a majority government. He could spend whatever needs to be spent. He could pass any bill that he wanted. To say that he needs a strong majority to fight Donald Trump makes no sense whatsoever on any level. And, you know, my understanding is that a lot of his MPPs were pushing Doug to call an election so that they could essentially maintain employment for an extended period of time than to 16 months from now.
Real quick, Marie, I mean, here we are 33 minutes into our election show. We've had very little discussion on healthcare. We've had very little discussion on housing. We've had very little discussion on just about the issues that are affecting Ontarians every day, yet Doug Ford's got another PC majority government.
Between 2 million to 2.5 million Ontarians don't have a family doctor. Yes, we can give him some slack in that we had a pandemic, but after the pandemic was managed, nothing really was done until very recently with the appointment of Dr. Jane Philpott to try and solve that problem. And I want to say, if I can get back to the Democratic Renewal Bill on elections, the spirit of that bill was you can delay an election. It was really meant to be able to delay an election in times of pandemics, for example, wars, etc. The spirit of the bill wasn't to have it almost a year and a half early.
Yeah. All right, lots more discussion on the panel, but for now, Matt, we'll throw it back to you on the decision desk.
All right, thanks very much, Louis. For more on tonight's result, let's bring in Will Stewart. He's a Conservative strategist and the former Chief of Staff to John Baird. Now he's with public affairs firm Enterprise Canada. Will, first of all, the Conservatives have won a historic third majority. What did the PC party do right this campaign?
Yeah, look, it's a great night to be a Conservative in Ontario for sure. It's nice to see those numbers. I mean, Randy Rath put a tie on for the occasion. I haven't seen that in quite some time, but it is a fun night to be a Conservative when you win, and it's been a short campaign, but certainly one that's been quite intense given the threat from the U.S. So, what I see here is a Conservative government that really tapped into what Ontarians were talking about around their kitchen table, across the backyard fences. They were really talking about that affordability crisis, certainly a long time before Donald Trump was sworn in as president, and then with all the saber rattling on our sovereignty and on tariffs, that really just heightened the uncertainty and frankly even deepened the affordability challenge in people's minds. So having a fighter for the economy was really what I think Ontarians were looking for. Not to say that healthcare and education aren't important. They are extremely important, as is energy production and roads and other things. But, it was the NDP and the Liberals were talking about healthcare and education, important policy areas, but Ontarians weren't listening. They were listening to their pocketbooks. They were listening to the uncertainty for their families. They were listening to that worry that was coming across the airwaves from the dictator in training south of the border. So it was a tale of two campaigns, and Doug Ford was the only one talking about what people wanted to hear.
Now, Randy Rath made a good point. There's been a lot of pushback on the idea that Ford needed to call this election. He had a majority. He had a mandate to deal with Donald Trump. Why do you think that his advisors said, hey, go ahead with this? Ontario is going to be okay with this.
Look, I think Ontario was okay with it at the end of the day, right? Randy made some excellent points. Your whole panel made some excellent points as I was watching Keith Leslie earlier as well. I think it was a little bit thin gruel for the reasoning behind the campaign, but we know we've been talking about a campaign certainly in around Queen's Park since about September of this year. It really was a situation, if you cast your mind back to September, October of this year, was the uncertainty about what would happen in the U.S. election. Then we got some certainty out of that. That made things a lot worse for Ontario, and it's frankly got progressively worse on international politics from south of the border. So, the reasoning may have been a little lackadaisical, maybe a little flippant for this election. But what we have now is a situation where we've got 4 years of Doug Ford and 4 years of Donald Trump. And we've got that stability of leadership through those 4 years. And I think what we're seeing federally right now, if I can contrast that, is a definite lack of leadership at a time when it's extremely, probably more needed than ever in our country's history. And we have a lack of leadership. We may have 3 prime ministers in this country between January and Canada Day. So, from that point of view, as an Ontarian, as a Canadian, it is good that we've got a stable Conservative government here to deal with that instability that's coming from the U.S. over the Donald Trump's second term.
All right, that's Conservative strategist Will Stewart. Will, thanks for being with us. I'm sure we'll speak with you again a little bit later. All right, let's check in with some of our field reporters, beginning with Manisa Danabalan, who's in Milton. Milton, the riding where the PC candidate Zee Hamid just won in a by-election last year. Manisa, how are things where you are this evening?
Matt, I'm I'm at the Legion in Milton. There's lots of energy right now because PC candidate Z Hamid has been re-elected with 47% of the vote. So there's lots of energy in here right now. He just showed up a couple minutes ago. So I just wanted to talk to you, Z. What do you think carried you to victory today?
Look, we connected with people. We knocked on 28,000 doors, actually. So just a lot of conversations, a lot of connections. That's what helped.
Do you feel like that different kind of approach really made a difference this time around?
One-on-one connections. That's the way to go. We had a lot of conversations, thousands and thousands of conversations. It was great.
So now that you've been re-elected, what are some of the key priorities on the top of your list that you want to address?
The most important thing right now, as you know, we've talked about it before, is protecting Ontario. What's coming from south of border is going to be devastating for our economy, and we need to do everything we can to protect our province.
And in terms of how this campaign went, did anything stand out to you when you were talking to the residents door to door?
There's a lot of anxiety around the economy, around tariffs, and around, just the threat of tariff. Is it coming? Is it not coming? It's coming next week. It's coming next one. People have a lot of anxiety, and I think they overwhelmingly chose Premier Doug Ford to stand up to Donald Trump, which we're looking forward to getting to work right away.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're also here with the Mayor of Milton, Gordon Krantz. So can you talk a little bit about how you feel about the results of this election right now?
Well, of course, I'm very pleased with the results, and of course, I know the interview that you just concluded with Z Hamid. He's a former colleague of mine, and he knows all the issues that's relevant to the town of Milton, such as all-day two-way public transit, GO Transit, some of the infrastructure issues that a growing community like Milton needs. So it's a partnership, and I look forward to, in C's case now, for the next 4 years, working very closely on getting some of those things that's really needed here in the town of Milton completed. So congratulations to Z and the PC party and Premier Ford.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Krantz. So right now, the energy right now, you can see there's lots of people right now because everyone is celebrating. So once again, Hamid has won 47% of the vote and is now, he was the incumbent and now he is re-elected. So I'll take it back inside to you, Matt.
All right, thanks very much, Manisa. We need one more break here at Your Home, Your Vote. Stay with us.
Now at Critelli Furniture and Critelli Modern. Save 10% on all qualifying stressless recliners and ottomans, sofas, and home office chairs. Shop Critelli Furniture and Critelli Modern in downtown St. Catharines.
To prove these underwear don't ride up, they don't bunch, and they stay in place all day, we're putting them to the ultimate test.
They didn't move 200 kilometers an hour. They didn't bunch up, they didn't ride, and they stayed in place. Incredible.
Shipton's is celebrating 100 years of reliable heating and cooling. Time to retire the old jingle. Dramatically. Shipton's, so reliable, even the old jingle won't die.
No one told Jason that adulting sometimes requires you to stretch time.
It said karate at 4 and swimming at 1600. Who knew that's the same time?
Everyone, Jason.
Everyone knew that?
Literally everyone. But you can up your adulting game with Sonnet Home and Auto Insurance. Just go online and in minutes you're covered. Plus, Canadian University and college grads can get a juicy discount.
Hey, I went to university.
And look at you now.
Kids, look.
Get up, Dad.
Meet Noodles. She's part short hair and part ninja. Meet the Bissell Crosswave Hydro Steam. It's part vacuum, mop, steamer, and Ninja Nemesis. Bissell, a new breed of clean.
Welcome back. We're going to head to Hamilton Mountain, where NDP candidate Kojo Dempte is addressing supporters.
Thanks, Matt. Kojo Dempte is currently speaking right now in front of his supporters after Monica Cirillo had been declared the winner for Hamilton Mountain. Kojo is speaking to his supporters right now. If you listen closely.
All of you in this building, you are going to show up because we know it's going to be tough. Seniors, I spoke to a couple whose husband has dementia, living in an apartment, talking about how difficult it is to get through the day. You think it's going to get better? No. You think it's going to get better? No. We talk to families who have kids with disabilities that are not going to school. You think it's going to get better? No. This premier also took workers to court. You think educational workers and healthcare workers are going to be happy with this result? No. They cut funding for Mohawk, where I used to work. McMaster, where I'm working now, and there's a pinch. You think that's going to get better? No. So, our work is just beginning. We're going to have to build a coalition like we've never ever built before. We're going to have to change the Conservatives, their mind. I spoke to them. I knew it was neck and neck between us and the Conservatives. The Liberals, forget them. It is going to be a huge challenge. And so we're going to have to talk to our blue friends because they don't even know that Doug Ford is the one that is causing their healthcare crisis. They don't even know that Doug Ford is the one underfunding our teachers. So we have to start from scratch. My brother, where is he? MP Matthew Green, come over. He says, we gotta go street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood.
As you can hear, that is Kojo Dempte still speaking to his supporters with MP Matthew Green by his side after his PC candidate Monica Cirillo has been elected the seat here in Hamilton Mountain. For now, we will take it back to you, Matt.
All right, thanks very much, Jason. Let's bring back in Amber Mack, our tech expert. Amber, how did things play out online tonight? What was trending as Ford was reelected?
So few people who are really engaged in conversations about our democracy, because I think that's what we're seeing on Twitter, for example. Typically, that would be the first place that I went to find information in terms of what people were saying. But even there were just a few thousand posts in terms of what was happening tonight. I think all of this is actually due to the fact that what we have on social media, again, are these platforms that more and more are not good places to get news. We saw back in 2023, for example, that Meta, of course, blocked news entirely from Facebook and Instagram. And we know there are massive numbers of people here in Ontario, about 5 to 6 million people who use those platforms or did to get all their information. So I think what we're seeing again is sort of this layering on of people being so disengaged that some of these announcements like tonight are no longer trending. And also people are having a harder time getting news on these platforms, especially even as ownership changes on platforms like we saw with Twitter, now known, of course, as X.
A lot of talk about the necessity of this election call coming in tonight, a lot of criticism of Doug Ford. And of course, history shows that we don't have elections in winter in this country very often. How much was that topic, that concern over the calling of the election, talked about online?
Well, I really think that one of the issues that we saw online over the past few weeks is that people have just been really overwhelmed in terms of what's happening in the U.S., for example. There is other news that they're paying attention to. And so I feel if you actually look at the conversations online, and it's really hard to quantify, but basically the sentiment has been that people weren't ready for this election. They didn't want this election. They have a lot on their minds already, you know, newly in this year in 2025, just so much happening happening. And so I think for the most part, people are just kind of disengaged a little bit, and we're seeing that reflected in social media.
All right, thanks very much, Amber. We'll join you again later in the evening. But right now, I want to go to Niagara, the riding of Niagara Falls, where our Eric Vieno has the winner with him, Wayne Gates. Eric.
That's right, Matt. Yeah, Wayne Gates has been re-elected. He's been in office for 11 years, and even more years. Wayne, I just want to hear what your reaction is. What do you think did it for you? 11 years in this seat, and now you get re-elected again.
Yeah, it's an honor to have the support from the residents of Niagara-on-the-Lake, Niagara Falls, and Fort Erie. We work extremely hard. We continue to work hard. I treat all three of the municipalities exactly the same. But in this election, unfortunately, they talked about one thing. The issues here in Niagara that are important is health care. We want to make sure that we stop the privatization of our health care right here in the province of Ontario, but here. We want to make sure that in Fort Erie, our urgent care center is open 24 hours, 365 days a year. We have a lot of seniors here that we want to make sure they have health care. We know that there's cuts to education. We know that young people, like my daughters and some of your daughters and my grandkids, are having trouble paying their rents, paying to get their first house. The affordability here in this province, we have to do better. We got to make sure that we take care of the groceries costs, and make sure that we're not being gouged when we go to the grocery store. We got to make sure that we stop we have to put it, sorry, I apologize. We have to put in the rent controls on the new builds that started in 2019. And when they took the rent controls off there, the rent skyrocketed. So now young people and seniors who are being rent evicted can't afford their apartment buildings to live in a place that's affordable. So there's lots of things, but I want to say from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all the residents putting their support behind me now for the 5th term. Equally as important, I want to thank all the volunteers. This was an election that was unjust, should never happen. It cost $200 million to run the election, but it was during the middle of winter. My volunteers were out in that cold, out in that wind, out in that thing, putting in signs every day. So I want to say to all the volunteers and my team, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the fact that you're doing an interview today. We're very, very excited today. This is even better than what I ever thought. So thank you for interviewing. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Wayne. I'll let you go with all your supporters who have been loud this whole time. Thank you very much. Thank you. So again, the Niagara region, Wayne Gates re-elected in Niagara Falls. As for the rest of the region, in St. Catharines, Jenny Stevens has been re-elected NDP candidate. In Niagara Centre, Jeff Birch re-elected in Niagara Centre. Niagara West still belongs to the PC candidate Sam Osterhoff. Again, very exciting right now. Wayne celebrating with his supporters, with his family. Matt, I'll send it back inside to you.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. Now let's go quickly to the campaign celebration party of candidate Z. Hamid in Milton, the PC candidate who has won. Let's listen in.
In many ways, and I said that outdoors, and I was serious when I said that, we're facing a generational challenge right now, a threat that we haven't faced in a generation, at least a generation. What's happening south of the border and the threat of tariffs has the impact of devastating our economy. And so I'm very blessed. Ontario is very fortunate to have Premier Doug Ford standing up and protecting Ontario. He is the right person to face Donald Trump. And the result tonight shows that. We won even a bigger majority. And you know what? I think it's, when was the last time government won 3 majorities in a row in Ontario? I think it was 1950s, early 50s. So it's been more than half a century since that happened. And that's incredible. But I don't want to talk a lot because I prefer having one-on-one conversations. And obviously, I've been knocking since 9 a.m. I'm kind of talked out. What we're going to do is I came in here and the first thing I did is look for food. And there was no food because apparently I'm supposed to start it. So please help yourselves, eat, because if you guys don't eat, I won't be allowed to get food. But before I wrap up, I do want to thank the last person I saved. Good thing I didn't forget about that because that was going to be trouble. I do want to thank my parents, but most importantly, my wife, who, I don't know why you did let me do these crazy things. There we go. I got to tell you a story that When I ran for the by-election, the first time the Premier came to Milton to door knock, it was March, I believe, or 2024. That's when we started the move. So the Premier was here, a bunch of volunteers were here, and we had a dumpster on our front yard because we were throwing stuff away. We started the move, and that move finished about a week ago during this election. So we've gone through 2 elections during this move from hell. Stuff still packed up, and so I do want to thank my wife for holding things at the home front so I could do crazy stuff like that. So thank you, babe. And with that, help yourself to some food. Thank you.
All right, you've been listening to PC candidate and now winner, MPP for Milton, Z. Hamid, who was addressing his supporters and thanking them. Now let's stay in Halton, not in Milton, Halton region. Bring in Emily Taylor, who's going to go through some of the other results in Halton this evening. It's looking pretty blue there, Emily.
It is looking pretty blue, Matt, but that is what we had expected. All the Halton ridings were initially PC incumbents going into this, or PC strongholds, and it looks still pretty blue there. I do want to go over some of the seat counts before we get too into Halton. PC is currently sitting at 79. That's up from their previous 63 at dissolution. Right now, we can say the NDP will be the official opposition, sitting at 24 seats. Liberals currently sitting at 13. If that stays that way, they will have official party status again. That magic number is 12. All right, let's take a look at some of those Halton ridings. Burlington is still one to watch. The results are flipping back and forth between PC incumbent Natalie Pierre and Liberal candidate Andrea Grebnick. Now, this riding has been PC for most of its history, but it did have a Liberal MPP from 2014 to 2018. Those two candidates are less than a percentage point away from each other right now, so we are watching that riding closely. We just saw Manisa Danabalan over in the riding of Milton. As our PC incumbent Z. Hamid has now been elected for a second term. He's only held his seat for a matter of months. Hamid was elected in the 2024 by-election after PC MPP Parm Gill left to run federally. Over in Oakville, PC Stephen Crawford has been elected for his 3rd term at Queen's Park. PC candidate Effie Trianthalopoulos has held the riding of Oakville North Burlington also. She's been sent back to Queen's Park for her 3rd term. She's holding nearly 50% of the vote. Let's go over to Wellington, Halton Hills. That was an open race this year after veteran MPP and Speaker Ted Arnott announced he would not be running again for re-election, that he is retiring. PC candidate Joseph Rasinski has been elected in his place. Let's take a look at some other surrounding areas now. We have PC incumbent Will Bauma has been re-elected in Brantford-Bransonite, a strong majority of the vote in that riding. At Halton Norfolk, this is an interesting one to watch going into the election. Independent Bobby Ann Brady has taken 60% of the vote for her 2nd term. She's the only independent candidate to win in Ontario without winning as part of a party in recent history. This election, she faced off with Norfolk Mayor turned PC candidate Amy Martin. All right, that's a look at some of our ridings at this key riding desk. We'll go back over to you, Matt.
Thanks very much, Emily. And before we go any further, I just want to recap a couple key storylines. First of all, there was talk of Niagara going completely PC this evening. That turned out to be incorrect. Niagara Centre, St. Catharines, and Niagara Falls were held on by the NDP. Also, we were closely following the race on Hamilton Mountain, which was said to be very close between the Liberal PC and NDP candidates. Of course, the incumbent there, Monique Taylor, has decided to run federally. She had Kojo Damte running in her spot, and Kojo was unable to hold it for the NDP. Hamilton Mountain has gone PC. Lastly, in Halton, we were looking for potentially an NDP or Liberal win in one of the ridings there, but it's looking to also be all blue. Let's throw it over to Louis Bucco and the panel for some reaction on some of the big storylines we're seeing this evening. Louis.
Right, thank you, Matt. Simon Kiss joining the panel for this part of the discussion. And Maria, I'm going to start with you, though, because we look at the numbers right now. The Liberals look like they will regain official party status. However, their leader, Bonnie Crombie, trailing in her riding. What is the future of the Liberal Party going to look like after this election?
I hope they receive party status, but we're not sure that they will. That'll be a big loss, I think, for the communities too, because you need strong opposition. they won't be able to represent their constituents to the best of their ability without the monies needed. And they won't get as many questions in the legislature on behalf of their constituents. So I really do hope we reach party status. I don't want to jinx it by saying it looks like we will. If Bonnie loses her seat, if Bonnie doesn't win a seat tonight, then there probably will be a leadership vote. I'm not going to pretend or spin otherwise.
Simon, in that sense, if you know, here you got the Liberals, yes, they may regain official party status, but an otherwise disappointing night for the Red team.
I think this election is a crushing result for the Liberals. I think it's very disappointing, and as much as it's a step forward for them to probably pick up official party status, they're in a tough position now. They've been the third party now since 2018, third election in a row for the third party, and they're doing it from the position of the ideological center. That's tough to defend. That's tough territory to defend at the best of times. To defend that territory from the position of the third party is really tough. The longer this goes on for the Liberals, the harder it's going to get for them to be viable.
To that point, Randy, we could be looking at another Liberal leadership race for Ontario if Bonnie Crombie decides. If you were advising the Liberals tomorrow morning, you wake up, what's the first thing they need to do?
They need to get a new leader. Bonnie has been humiliated in this election. You know, she had high hopes that she was going to become the official opposition. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. It doesn't look like she's going to win her riding. And for Bonnie personally, not winning her riding might make this a little bit easier because she can just, you know, step away and call a leadership election.
Marie, if you're advising the Liberals, what is the number one on the to-do list tomorrow?
If Bonnie doesn't win her seat, then yes, the leadership is one. And then just do an assessment of what went wrong or what could have gone better. You can't just avoid self-criticism when you lose an election. We were talking off camera about the need for the Green Party to do better than it has, because I'm concerned as a mother and grandmother now about the environment taking a backstage because of everything else that's going on in the world, quite understandably. But it is an important issue. And we had some really good candidates. I know some of them personally, the one on Hamilton Mountain, Josh Cerninga, fine young man, for example, and there are others too, fine young people. I love that young people came out and threw their hat in the ring. We can't give up. Yeah. This is what it is. We honor the people's decision, but our own parties individually have to do a self-assessment.
Yeah, real quick, Simon, we were talking, this wasn't really an issues race. This was a Doug Ford is going to stand up against tariffs race. It felt like. How did you see the issues really take a back burner in this campaign?
To me, I think the biggest story of this is actually this is still the opposition parties sorting themselves out. We're still actually living in the long shadow of the 2018 election and the McGuinty-Wynne government. And people have, in some ways, they have long memories. And I think it's people are waiting for the opposition to kind of sort itself out. And I think issue discussion kind of took a back seat to that. And I think people are just kind of looking for the opposition parties to rally around, and they haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, they haven't had that leader to really revolve around.
And I think that Bonnie Crombie realizes that, because she kept trying to paint herself as, I'm the new leader. I'm a different kind of leader. You know, the Liberals made a horrible mistake when they elected Stephen Del Duca. Stephen Del Duca, or elected and made him the leader. Yeah. Stephen Del Duca didn't have a chance. He was outclassed in the last election. So, you know, this is a really bad thing for the Liberals. Yeah. This loss, and you know, even though they get party status, to not have your leader win a seat is really bad.
Yeah. All right, we'll be keeping the discussion going here on the panel, including conversation on some of the local results. But for now, we'll send it back to you, Matt.
Thanks very much, Louis. And we need a quick break here at CHCH. But as we go, we want to give you a look at Doug Ford's party headquarters tonight. Protect Ontario signs up, and people are gathering because he is expected to address the crowd later this evening. And of course, we will have that for you. Stay with us. Your home, your vote on CHCH.
Wednesday's date night movie. There's trouble in space for a ship headed to a new home in the sci-fi romance Passengers, presented by The Brick. With the wrong mattress, you never really get out of bed. At the Brick Mattress Store, you'll get the right mattress, guaranteed.
Sounds like Ojo time. Feel the fun with all the latest slots and live casino games with huge progressive jackpots and all wins paid in cash. Groovy.
Listen, I know you all need a win. Well, it could happen here. Hey, free coffee. See?
You've got a shot at something amazing.
All right, everybody, look, this Volkswagen ID Buzz won't win itself. So do we roll over?
No!
We
roll.
Play on the app anytime and on cups, only while supplies last.
What doing?
Washing machine's broken, Moose.
But squeaky.
When life doesn't go to plan, ClearScore can help with personalized loans and credit cards. Download for free now. ClearScore, best friend for your finances.
Most men will develop symptoms of BPH. To reduce these symptoms, try Super Beta Prostate. Finally, less urges to urinate. Super Beta Prostate. Find it at these fine retailers.
He became the director of his life, and Exotica, an extraordinary travel crafter, made it happen.
It has to be more epic. Can we make it not? Greater, magnificent.
What did you wish for?
That it's affordable.
Start planning the life you'll want to see flashing before your eyes at Exotica.com.
Yes, I know, Mummy. Yes, we miss you too. Exotica. Exotica, Mummy.
To prove these underwear don't ride up, they don't bunch, and they stay in place all day, we're putting them to the ultimate test.
Go!
They didn't move 200 kilometers an hour. They didn't bunch up, they didn't ride, and they stayed in place. Incredible.
Welcome back. Let's go live to Guelph, where Green Party leader Mike Schreiner is addressing supporters. His party has secured its 2 seats that it had before, and we're still waiting to see if they could get a third.
Ran, the people who knocked on doors, the people who put up signs, the people who braved the cold. And I got to tell you what, there were a lot of cold hands and warm hearts out on the campaign trail over the last month. I want to say to each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you for working so hard for the Ontario Greens. Each and every one of you is a local champion, and I'm forever grateful for the work that you do. I also want to take a moment now to thank a good friend, Matt Richter, the deputy leader for the Ontario Greens. Matt has run many times, and this time yet again, he came so close. I know that tonight was not the results we had wanted, and I know they're not the results that Matt wanted. But I want Matt to know that you will always be a champion in my heart. You lead with honesty, integrity, and a commitment to your community. And if there was ever anyone who deserved to be an MPP, it's Matt Richter. Matt, yeah, let's hear it for Matt. Yeah. There are real and serious challenges facing the province of Ontario in climate, housing, healthcare, education, and tariffs. You could put the word crisis after each and every one of those items. As a matter of fact, it feels like crisis has become the new normal in Ontario. I know that Ontarians want us to do better, and I know that we can do better. And so I say to Mr. Ford, congratulations on a majority government. The 2 Ontario Green MPPs will do our job to hold your government accountable. We will do it as the unofficial official opposition. And I also want to be clear at the same time, we're ready to work across party lines to put people before politics and deliver for the people of Ontario and the people of our communities. And tonight, I say to progressive voters across the province of Ontario, don't agonize, organize. Don't agonize, organize, because just in the same way that people power saved the Greenbelt, people power can fight to build homes that people can afford, to fix health care and education, and to protect the people and places we love in this province. We owe it to the people of Ontario to fight for progressive values, and that's why Ontario Greens are going to continue to organize, organize, organize for the people of Ontario. In this election, Greens fought for fairness and a livable future, an affordable future for our children. And Ashland Clancy and I will continue that fight for you at Queen's Park as your champions.
All right, you've been listening to the Green Party leader, Mike Schreiner, who's thanking Matt Richter, who lost his race. He was thought to be potentially a 3rd seat for the Green Party. He congratulates Doug Ford and also says that he and his party will hold his government accountable in the next legislature. He's telling progressive voters, don't agonize over the loss, but organize. It was people power that saved the Green Belt. Now, we need a quick break, but just before we go, breaking news, Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie has lost her seat. We'll talk about it in a couple of minutes.
Now at Critelli Furniture and Critelli Modern. Save $400 on any stressless power recliner. Effortlessly adjustable with the touch of a button. Shop Critelli Furniture and Critelli Modern in downtown St. Catharines.
Sorry. At first, I was polite. I apologized.
Kept saying sorry for all the things that I dared to try.
But then I spent so many nights thinking how to break the mold.
And I grew bold.
Learn not to do what I'm told. Oh, no, not I. I won't apologize.
Doritos, for the bold.
Hey, sorry. After you.
So when I went to sleep, my jewels were here. And when I woke up, gone. The night's morning, and I have no Nespresso coffee. Unforgettable. My jewels.
I must confiscate the evidence.
Don't forget to recycle.
Nespresso. What else?
To prove these underwear don't ride up, they don't bunch, and they stay in place all day, we're putting them to the ultimate test.
They didn't move 200 kilometers an hour. They didn't bunch up, they didn't ride, and they stayed in place. Incredible.
Looking for the fastest online personal loan? Well, look no further. Spring Financial offers fully online personal loans with zero stress and no need for branch visits. But don't take our word for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Spring Financial.
Thank you very much. Spring Financial is the best. Apply today at springfinancial.ca.
Do you know what happens to funds from charitable bingo and gaming centers? Charitable gaming helps food banks and thousands of other charities keep their lights on. In the past year, we've raised over $100 million for Ontario charities. Find a charitable gaming center near you and play for a community win. Charitable gaming, community good.
Welcome back. We just got a big piece of information in the CHCH newsroom. Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie has failed to secure her seat in Mississauga East Cooksville. I want to bring in Louis Bucko and the panel for more analysis on this stunning defeat for Crombie. Louis.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, back here with the panel. And Randy, you've been at Queen's Park for a bit now. You know what to expect. How big of a surprise is this that Bonnie Crombie did not win her seat?
You know, I really have never been that impressed with Ms. Crombie, to be honest. And I know that the Tories put a lot of effort into that riding to defeat her, to shut her down. So, you know, with the results province-wide for the Liberals being as low as they are, I don't think it's surprising at all.
Marie, if you are advising the Liberals once again tomorrow on a new leader, where are we looking?
I don't know where we're looking. I would like to say that I actually like Bonnie. I think the smear campaign against her was very effective. She didn't have a lot of time to prepare as a leader. What I would tell who am I to say to the Liberal Party
you have
what
some
their
experience.
Next
Don't sell yourself short, Marie.
But I do think they should be very careful of who they choose the next time. And she was, in my opinion, a good leader, but she didn't have enough time to prepare. The Tories did a great job of putting her down very, very early. You know, I remember when the federal Liberals were in third place, and then Justin Trudeau brought us right up to government, which had never happened before.
No.
So that's a lesson for us, not to lose hope.
Simon, I want to get your thoughts in just a minute, but we are watching right now Bonnie Crombie make her way to the stage. And actually, let's stick with here on the panel. Simon, it was a pretty interesting race for Liberal leader. A month ago, Nate Erskine-Smith was someone who had a lot of popularity. Is this a job that somebody wants right now? Is it a high-profile job that is going to be a lot of names thrown into the hat?
Oh, sure. I think it'll be a competitive leadership race. It's third party. Looks like it's going to be an official party. I wouldn't count them quite out yet, as hard as it is. So I think there's no question they'll attract some talent.
Yeah, and Marie, we've been talking about this. Maybe an opportunity for the party to go younger, more diverse, just somebody that we can expect to see. But we'll watch, and Matt will actually throw it to you as we await Bonnie Crombie at the podium.
All right, thanks very much, Louis. Very quickly, Bonnie Crombie just getting ready to start speaking to her supporters in Mississauga. Let's take a listen.
Everyone, and thank you for being here. I want to thank each and every one of you for everything you have done in the last 28 days. Oh my gosh, those snowbanks, the salt, how many pairs of shoes have you ruined? You've really stepped up. And many of you put your name on the ballot that are in the room here tonight. So, listen, running for office is no small thing. So no matter who you ran for, or our province and our democracy are better because of the hard work, right? Yeah. So thank you. I know tonight isn't exactly the result we were looking for, but you should be very, very proud of what we did tonight. People counted us out. They said the Ontario Liberal Party was dead. Tonight, you prove them wrong. The Ontario Liberal Party is back to official party status, and that's a big milestone. But it gets better. We increase our share of the votes substantially to 30%. digits over the NDP, right? So this is a building block for us. It is a momentum that we can continue to push forward and to grow, right? So tonight, let's celebrate all our new MPPs that we're going to bring back, and let's celebrate coming back to party status. So that tomorrow we can get back to work making sure those other guys do their jobs. Look, voters have given Doug Ford another mandate tonight. Smaller, but nonetheless. But many, many of you are asking for a strong voice to hold him accountable as Premier. And you can count on me, okay? So I'll say this tonight, Doug, we'll be watching. Yep. We know Ontario can do so much better, right? And you know I'm not going to slow down, not for 1 second when it comes up to standing up for the people in this province, right? I'm going to continue to fight for our public health care system every single day, right? Doug, you promised a lot of things during this campaign, and one of them was to get people more family doctors. And I'm going to hold you to it. The Ontario Liberal Party is going to hold you to it, right? Because the people of Ontario deserve more than they've gotten from you over the last 7 years. You promised to protect Ontario, but you neglected Ontario. And we're going to make sure that you go back to protecting us. We'll make sure that you protect our public health care system and our Greenbelt and everyone trying to get ahead in this province who doesn't have a direct line to your office. Ontario, I'm here. I am with you. And I commit to you today that I will stay on.
You've been listening to Ontario Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie thanking her supporters during a speech at her campaign headquarters. She's saying it wasn't the result they were looking for, but tells supporters they should be proud of what they've done. She also says that she's committed to staying on as the Liberal leader and says that she will hold the Doug Ford government accountable, and also praised her party for achieving official party status again. You need 12 seats for that, and it looks like they're going to win 14. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has issued a post on social media thanking Doug Ford and congratulating him on his win. And speaking of the PCs, I want to take us to the Hamilton Mountain, where our Jason Gaidola has the victorious PC candidate with him right now. Jason.
Thanks, Matt. For the first time in 30 years, the Progressive Conservatives claim victory here on Hamilton Mountain. Joining me now is the winner, Monica Ciriello. Monica, thanks for joining us. Going through this whole campaign, how are you reflecting on this win and the government-forming majority?
You know what, this is a historic win, not only for the PC government, sending a strong message across Ontario, but specifically here in Hamilton, seeing that we have flipped this seat in over 30 years. It is a movement that we are seeing across this province and across this city, and we are only just getting started.
It was a pretty tight, contentious race here in Hamilton Mountain. You had someone from the NDP, Kojo Demte, very notable in this riding. Don Danko as well. What was the difference, though, when it came to claiming this riding for the PCs?
You know what? While other parties were focusing on different issues, we focused on groundwork. We hit a record number of doors in this riding. We crisscrossed this riding with all of our volunteers, connecting with residents, and then letting them know what the plan for the PCs are going to be able to assist in their day life.
And now that the PC's formed majority again, what does this mean for the PC government now looking forward? What is still left to be done in the province?
You know what? We have a strong 4-year mandate. The Ontarians were clear about that. We have tariffs that we need to fight back on with Donald Trump, and our Premier Doug Ford is the man to do the job.
All right, well, thank you, Monica Ciriello. That is the winner for Hamilton Mountain. Matt, we will take it back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Jason. I want to bring in Emily Taylor once again, who's keeping her eye on the key ridings in our region. Emily, you're looking at Halton right now for us, I believe.
Yeah, we're looking at some key interesting ridings, Matt. I actually want to start in Niagara, though, and just take a look at our overall map there. There was some talk about that area that has historically been NDP flipping blue, but of course we are seeing all of our incumbents actually are keeping their positions going back to Queen's Park. We have these 3 main NDP ridings over Niagara, and of course Sam Osterhoff keeping Niagara West. Over in Hamilton, there has been a bit of a change up. Some of our incumbents are keeping their spot. Of course, we have Neil Lumsden in Hamilton East Stony Creek, and over in the Hamilton Mountain, as Jason just said, that is actually flipped blue now. So that's a very interesting riding that we have been watching. As he had mentioned, not for 30 years have we seen a PC candidate take that Hamilton Mountain riding. There's one other Hamilton riding I want to go to. That's Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas. We can now say that incumbent Sandy Shaw is going back to Queen's Park. That riding had been flipping back and forth very closely between her and the PC candidate John Demick. All right, let's go over to Halton now, where we are still watching the Burlington riding closely. Right now, we are still seeing blue. That is the incumbent MPP Natalie Pierre, but we have not called that vote yet. They are just within a couple hundred votes of each other, Natalie Pierre and the Liberal candidate Andrea Grebnick. So we'll be watching that one throughout the night. There is a few more ridings I want to get to. Halton and Norfolk being something interesting. We did call this one early on in the night. Bobby Ann Brady, independent, going for a second term at Queen's Park. She won a strong majority here, around 60% of the vote. But of course, in our Ontario political system, it is quite difficult for an independent to win, especially if they never had any ties to a party specifically. She took on Norfolk Mayor Amy Martin as the PC candidate. All right, well, just a few more. Of course, we are talking about Bonnie Crombie right now. She has not taken her seat in Mississauga East Cooksville. Sylvia Gautria is taking on the spot at Queen's Park. She's actually the mother-in-law of Patrick Brown. He's the mayor of Brampton, as well as a former PC party leader. But there is one more Mississauga riding I want to get to. This is interesting because we did have a flip happen in Mississauga to Liberal. It just wasn't Bonnie Crombie's riding. Here we have Cressir Dar is taking the seat for the Liberal Party. He has just a little bit, just a tad higher than the incumbent PC there. I have met 44.3% of the vote, while the PC incumbent is sitting at 44.2% of the vote. And there have still some polls to go there, but he is in the lead right now. We're seeing that flip in a Mississauga seat. All right, Matt, we'll send it back over to you.
All right, thanks very much, Emily. Now, just in a couple of moments, the next Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, is due to address his supporters. We do have a live shot from his campaign headquarters that we're going to show you, and as soon as he gets up to the podium, he is going to be speaking. Now, a lot of questions now that Doug Ford has claimed his third majority government. What does this mean for Canada's fight against Donald Trump's tariffs? And of course, what happens now to the Liberal Party with Bonnie Crombie staying on as leader, except she doesn't have a seat. Now, Doug Ford's still a couple of minutes away, so I want to bring in Eric Vieno, who's covering the Niagara region for us tonight. Eric, what can you tell us?
I have enough skin damage. Yeah, Matt, I'm still here in Niagara Falls at Wayne Gates' headquarters for the night. He, of course, was re-elected here. He's been in office for 11 years. He's going to be in for another 4 at least. And the celebration continues here, as you can see behind me. We have his supporters all over this bar here. Now, he just did his speech not too long ago to his supporters, where he got quite emotional. He was talking about the support from his family and from the residents, and he spoke about how it's the residents who he says have known him for so long, which is why he believes he was elected again. Now, in his speech, he also brought up again what he says is the biggest issue facing the Niagara region, and that's health care. He says that he wants the urgent care center to stay open in Fort Erie. He says he's going to continue that job. And then afterwards, he was also asked about how the mayors, Jim Diodati, Niagara Falls, Matt Cisco, and the Welland mayor threw their endorsement behind the PC leader, Doug Ford. And he said, quote, that Jim Diodati needs to throw support behind Doug Ford more often because it means he wins. So again, the celebration continues here. Matt, as for the other ridings in the Niagara region, Sam Osterhoff, he has been re-elected in Niagara West. St. Catharines, NDP candidate Jenny Stevens has been re-elected there. And in Niagara Centre, the NDP incumbent Jeff Birch has been re-elected there. Bad for now. I'll send it back inside to you.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. And as we wait for Doug Ford to address supporters so we can hear what he has to say, let's throw it back over to Louis Bucko and the panel for a little more analysis on what we are seeing tonight. Louis.
All right, thank you, Matt. Back here with Simon, Randy, and Marie. And Marie, there was a bit of a noticeable gasp from all of us when we heard Bonnie Crombie say that she was going to stay on as leader. Is that just election night adrenaline up there on the stage? How would you read what she said there?
Well, we were just talking off camera how this is not unprecedented. John Tory did something similar, but he never became premier. So if Bonnie is actually going to stay on, if it's not just adrenaline, it'll be a tough road ahead.
Simon, I want to get into some numbers here. The popular vote right now, the PCs are claiming 43% of that at just over 2 million. The Liberals have 30% of the popular vote, yet 14 seats they're leading or have won. The NDP, who are going to form the official opposition, have 18% of the popular vote and 25 seats. Pretty disproportionate numbers there.
It's completely off the charts. I am hard pressed to think of a gap or a mismatch of that magnitude. I never would have predicted something like this, and explaining it is a bit difficult. You know, it could have been that the NDP made incredibly good campaign decisions about allocating resources and crafting policies to appeal to certain regions, and it could have been that the Liberals made incredibly poor decisions, failing to focus their policies, failing to focus their campaign on certain regions. And it could just have been pure dumb luck, bad luck.
Former Liberals calling you right now, Marie, for your strong takes. Randy, there's really no desire for electoral reform, but these numbers would suggest that there should be, that people are being unfairly represented when 30% of the province is voting for one party, yet they're just barely getting official party status.
Well, the problem is the governing party benefits from this, that gets elected, and they're not motivated at all to change the law because it's worked for them. So I don't know how you get around it. To go back to Bonnie losing, Marie, is there a mechanism for the MPPs, the Liberal MPPs, to get rid of her?
Yeah, well, well, I wouldn't put it that way, but there is a leadership there, at least while I was there, and unless something's changed, there is typically a leadership review after an election. And that is where the members, the Liberal members, not just the caucus members, the Liberal members at large, vote whether to keep a leader or not.
And I do want to point out that we were concerned that the voter turnout was going to be somewhere south of 30%. It is about 42% right now. Again, it will end up being the lowest, could end up being the lowest in Ontario election history. How concerning is that for everyone, Simon, that 40% of the 4 in 10 people are deciding what's going on at Queen's Park every day?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into the levels of turnout. Turnout is dropping in many jurisdictions around North America, around the world. It's been a kind of a generational decline. It's a very complicated story of why that's happening. It doesn't actually tend to show, when political scientists kind of study this stuff, it tends to not suggest that it actually changes the results of elections, high turnout versus low turnout. It turns out that people who choose not to vote often have similar preferences to people who do have who do choose to vote. So it's so it's not quite a kind of concerning in that way. And to be honest, I'm actually surprised that it hit 43%, given the weather and the kind of the weirdness of this election.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. The weirdness of this election, Randy. And there was really no, like you had pointed out, this was an election that was driven by outside forces, and that being Donald Trump and the threat of tariffs.
And it's also, you know, Doug Ford has to answer to the public, why did you spend $189 million on this election when you have not raised your plurality? You know, and what message does that send to somebody like Donald Trump, to Donald Trump specifically? Doug said he needed to have a really strong, reinforced mandate, and that didn't happen. He failed at that.
And Marie, Keith Leslie pointed that out as well, that you would never see a candidate leave the province, let alone the country. But here was Doug Ford going out and sort of campaigning in the U.S. And this wasn't the only time he got in trouble for, for partisan ads. Even the ombudsman said, hey, these ads are a little too close to election time. What did you think of the incumbency and how he used the incumbency to, I guess, gain one seat so far in this election?
He may have gone to Washington. He could have gone to Mars. he was sending a message back home. It was a strategy that he's strong for Ontario.
Yeah. All right, we're looking at a live shot of oh gosh, we're hearing that song. And again, Simon, I mean, we've talked about the benefits of what the PCs had going into this. They had more money, they had volunteers, they had the incumbency. Is this a successful campaign for them? I mean, they're a majority government, yes, they got another 4 years, but would you call this a success?
Sure, it's a success. By any metric, if you win a majority government, it's a success. And yet, with turnout being so low, you wonder whether or not you can really claim a real rallying public behind you.
Yeah, Marie?
Yeah, on the advertising, that's another one of my bills. He did break those rules. You're not supposed to use government funding, taxpayers' money, to advertise yourself.
Yeah. When we're looking at this, the Liberals are going to regain official party status, it looks like. What benefits, Randy, do they have from that, and how can they use that to their advantage?
Well, they get a lot more money. You know, they can make a research staff. They all have staffers that they just wouldn't have without the money that comes along with official party status. And, you know, it serves the public better because they're better able in the legislature to question and hold the government to account.
They have more questions. They're allowed more questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when your leader can't ask those questions, when it's not your leader at Queen's Park, Simon, who is standing up and saying, Doug Ford, you are doing this. Speaking of Doug Ford, actually, we are actually going to go send it to Matt, who I believe is going to send it to Doug Ford, but back more with the panel coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thanks very much, Louis. You're looking at a live image from Doug Ford's campaign party headquarters this evening. The next Premier of Ontario walking up to the podium to address his supporters to his campaign theme song. Let's listen in to the next Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Boy, what a crowd. Thank you so much, and what a night. And what a result. Thank you so much. Together we have made history. Together we have secured a strong, historic third majority mandate. A mandate to protect Ontario from the bottom of my heart. I thank you for being here, for sharing this incredible moment with me. To the thousands of volunteers right across this province who braved the cold, who knocked on over 2 million doors, tonight belongs to you. Thank you. I want to begin by thanking Carla and my daughters for your endless support. I couldn't do this without you. I also want to thank I also want to thank Marit Stiles, Bonnie Crombie, Mike Schreiner, and every single person who put their name on a ballot. We can disagree on policy, but there's no question at all, each one of them loves our province, and each one of them loves Canada, the greatest country on earth. Democracy only works if people are willing to step up and step forward. Our province is stronger because of your decision to do so, so I want to thank all the candidates. During my time in office, I hope I've proven I will work with anyone, I will work with everyone to get things done. Now, as we stare down the threat of Donald Trump's tariffs, I will continue to do just that. I will work with every level of government and every political stripe, because fighting back against Donald Trump, standing up for Canada, it will take a full Team Ontario effort. It will take a full Team Canada effort. Friends, over the last 7 years, we've made so much progress together. Over 1 million more people are working today than when we were elected in 2018. We've attracted over $70 billion in new investments into our economy, in new auto and battery plants, in our manufacturing sector, in new life science facilities, in Ontario's growing tech sector. Now together, we have to fight hard to protect our progress. This election, we ask the people for a mandate, a strong mandate that outlives and outlasts the Trump administration. A mandate to do whatever it takes to protect Ontario. Well, friends, the people have spoken. They're ready to stand up for Canada. This election, we ask the people for a mandate to make Ontario the most competitive place in the G7 to invest, create jobs, and do business. The people said yes. We asked the people for a mandate to unleash the awesome economic potential of the Ring of Fire. The people said yes. We asked the people for a mandate to build up our economy by tearing down internal trade barriers, and the people said yes. We asked the people for a mandate to cut red tape and the excuses, streamline approvals, and build things faster. The people said yes. We asked the people for a mandate to get the federal government out of our way so we can get shovels in the ground on the projects that will build the true North Strong and Free. The people said yes. We asked the people for a mandate to build pipelines, to build rail lines and transmission lines, to diversify our trade, find new markets, new customers, and rely less on the old ones. The people said yes. We asked the people for a mandate to clean up our streets, crack down on crime, end encampments, and protect schools and daycares from drug injection sites. The people said yes. And we asked the people for a mandate to build Highway 413, the Bradford Bypass, Highway 3, Highway 7, Highway 11, Highway 69, to bring sanity back to bike lanes, to tunnel the 401, to upload Ottawa LRT, and build the future of GO Transit across Greater Toronto Area. The people said yes. This is our plan to protect Ontario. It's a plan that offers big and bold ideas. It's a vision for the future of our great province and a vision for the future of our economy. Ontario is blessed with everything we need to succeed. the best and most skilled workers anywhere in the world. A pipeline of world-class talent with 70,000 STEM graduates each and every single year. Northern Ontario's enormous God-given potential, offering every critical mineral the world wants, every critical mineral the world needs, and one of the cleanest, greenest grids in the world, with the first small modular nuclear reactors in the G7. You know, folks, it's no wonder the world has their eyes on us. They're looking at Ontario with envy. Now, it's up to us to unlock our potential, roll up our sleeves to get to work. We'll retrain workers for better jobs and bigger paychecks. We'll retool companies for new customers and new markets. We'll reshore supply chains to bring good jobs back home. We'll rebuild roads and highways to keep people working and keep our economy competitive. Friends, this election, we promise to do whatever it takes to protect Ontario. And I'm so proud of the support we received. Together, we made more inroads into new communities, with more people seeing themselves reflected in our party, in our priorities. A record number of unions, including first-time supporters like our great firefighters, our great police, uniform locals, hospitality workers, and more trade unions, mayors from every region of Ontario, and everyday hardworking people in Thunder Bay, Timmins, and Sault Ste. Marie, in Eastern Ontario, Hamilton and Windsor, in Brampton and Mississauga. Your support is truly humbling. I will never, ever take it for granted. I will never stop working for you, because we're in a battle for the future of our province, for the future of our country. I promise you this, I will wake up every day and I will fight like I've never fought before. I will fight for every auto worker in Windsor, Woodstock, St. Thomas, and Oakville, in Brampton, Ingersoll, Oshawa, Alliston, and Cambridge. I will fight for every miner in Timmins, Thunder Bay, and Sudbury. I will fight for every steelmaker in Sault Ste. Marie, Nanticoke, and Hamilton. I will fight for every worker on the factory floor, every student starting their career, and every senior starting their retirement. I will fight for First Nations communities.
You've been listening to PC Party Leader and the next Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, addressing supporters from his campaign headquarters in Toronto. Ford thanking them for his support, as well as highlighting some of his promises through his campaign platform, and taking the time to mention our city, Hamilton, as he talks about protecting jobs, steel workers, and other industries. Let's bring in CHCH political analyst Keith Leslie for more reaction to Ford's speech tonight. Keith, one thing the Premier mentioned there was the support of unions. How much do you think union support played into his victory tonight?
Well, it absolutely helped him. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The Conservatives for the last couple of elections have courted the private sector unions, in particular the construction unions, because they're proposing so many big construction projects, so they got them on side. This election, they also got the firefighters and the police associations on side, as Premier Ford mentioned. That's a big deal for the Conservatives, who at one time, Labour just campaigned against Conservatives no matter what, usually in favor of either the NDP or the Liberals. This is a big swing. It absolutely helped him. We saw him. That was a really strong speech, I think, by Ford. He mentioned everything, as you said, from the mandate he's got to fight Donald Trump to the mandate he's got to build the tunnel underneath the 401. So it sort of encompassed all his topics that he wanted to drive home to people. But it was a very inclusive sort of speech from Doug Ford, and I thought one of the strong ones he's given throughout the campaign.
Yeah, he sounded very, very in control and very much a man who's won a third majority government. I want to talk to you about a couple of his platform promises. Now that he's Premier, I guess we can look forward to these. He's promised, like all the party leaders, that everyone will have a family doctor within 4 years. Do you think that's a realistic objective?
Well, it's the goal that pretty well all the parties set. And of course, remember, just before the election, I think it was the day before, Premier Ford stood there with the former Liberal Health Minister federally, Jane Philpott, and he'd hired her to exactly tackle this particular issue. So it's obviously going to be a priority for the government. And I think, though, the opposition parties were right to point out, well, why did you wait 7 years before you made the doctor shortage a real priority? So I think that was, a vulnerable spot for him. So he's going to address it. I think he's going to address it quickly. I also think I was quite surprised in the speeches tonight, not just by Ford, but by Bonnie Crombie saying that, she's going to stick around, that she didn't announce her resignation right away, which I guess means she's going to be looking for one of the 13 or 14 Liberals that did get elected tonight to step aside so she can run for a seat, or she's going to wait outside the legislature for years for a by-election to perhaps come along. It's a very interesting position for her, and it may be one that the decision is taken out of her hand if there's an automatic leadership review after an election loss like she suffered tonight.
Sticking with Ford's promises, I want to also get your thoughts on housing starts. Now, he's promised 1.5 million homes in 10 years. We know the housing starts have been nowhere near where they would need to be to get that. When you use your magic crystal ball and look over the next 4 years, do you think the Ford government can increase the pace of housing start construction in our province?
Well, they absolutely have to. I mean, one of the big things they're talking about is addressing affordability for issues, and we know that the price of housing has just gone crazy. We also know that despite their making it such a big priority, the Ford government has fallen way down in housing starts, below just about every other province, despite the fact that, they're putting such an effort into it. And in January, their housing starts were the lowest yet. We're falling way off the pace that they need to get that 1.5 million homes built. But there's got to be some more action taken. It has to be a very big plan coming from them. And they're very, very vulnerable in this housing file. And I think people are very fed up with the extremely high price of housing that's, priced an entire generation out of the market. So I think Ford's going to have to do something about that and actually get those houses built and find out why builders aren't building in Ontario when they are building in Quebec and British Columbia, certainly at a much faster pace than they are here.
Keith, I got a lot more questions for you, but we've run out of time for this segment, so I'll come back to you to hear more about your thoughts on Bonnie Crombie. Now, we need a break here on Your Home, Your Vote. Stay with us.
Wednesday's date night movie. There's trouble in space for a ship headed to a new home in the sci-fi romance Passengers, presented by The Brick. With the wrong mattress, you never really get out of bed. At the Brick Mattress Store, you'll get the right mattress, guaranteed.
So when I went to sleep, my jewels were here. And when I woke up, gone. A night's morning and I have no Nespresso coffee.
Unforgettable.
My jewels.
I must confiscate the evidence.
Don't forget to recycle.
Nespresso, what else?
I lost my job. I co-signed a loan I shouldn't have.
I don't know what happened, but before I knew it, things were out of control. Creditors calling, arguments about money, and unbelievable stress.
And that all changed when I called 310 Debt. They explained my options and helped me make the right choice.
What am I most grateful for? I am debt-free, and my pride is restored.
Be debt-free. Call MNP at 310-DEBT today.
Call us on the phone or see us on the net. 310-DEBT.
We created these. We're 4 Canadian friends that quit our jobs because we hated our underwear. We couldn't take the chafing, riding up, and constant adjusting. So we spent 12 months creating our own. They're made with a premium modal fabric that's breathable like cotton, but it won't stretch out. And we designed them to contour and support the boys, preventing sticking. We also made it to Dragon's Den and received offers from 4 different dragons. So visit manmadebrand.com to experience ultimate crotch comfort today.
Look, it's not you.
That means it is me.
I just need space.
You're leaving me for a panda?
It just happened.
How could you do this to me?
He makes me laugh like you used to.
Casino Days. With thousands of games. Mix it up. Play at CasinoDays.com.
Men, are you urinating more often? Reduce the symptoms of BPH with Super Beta Prostate. It's proven to help you reduce the extra bathroom trips, reduce getting up at night to urinate, and take back control. Get Super Beta Prostate.
Welcome back to Your Home, Your Vote. You're looking at a live shot of NDP leader Marit Stiles coming into her campaign headquarters, to where she will address her supporters in just a little while. Now, Stiles looks like she will hold on to official opposition status. The NDP looking to get about 25 seats right now, surpassing the Liberals, who only had 12 seats so far, possibly 13 or 14 as the numbers continue to come in. The NDP securing 18% of the vote, 19%, getting 25 seats. Consider this, the Liberals got 30% of the vote, and they're only coming away with what I said, 12 to 14 seats. Now, we will expect Stiles to be very congratulatory, as they did what they had to do here and hold on to their official opposition status, and their vote was very efficient. Like I said, a recap, they got less than 20% of the vote compared to the Liberals' 30%, but of course far, far behind the PC party, who have been re-elected for a third majority term with more than 80 seats now, we are predicting. Now let's take a moment and listen in to NDP leader Marit Stiles.
Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Marit Stiles. Look, we set out in this election to form a government on your side. Now, the results aren't everything that we hoped for, but the people of Ontario made their choice. They've re-elected the government, hoping it will help protect them from Donald Trump and his tariffs. And they've entrusted me and my team to do a different, but also very important job. Folks, we've been tasked again to serve the people of Ontario as their official opposition.
All right, that's Marit Stiles. We're going to come back to her speech in just a little while, but right now we're going to bring in Charles Bird. He's a Liberal strategist with years of experience advising senior ministers at Queen's Park and in Ottawa. Charles, what do you think this result means for the Ontario Liberals? They've got official party status back, it looks like, but their leader doesn't seem to have a seat in the House.
Well, I think the party will take some positives from tonight's results. For starters, they've increased their seat count to official party status, which is highly encouraging. They've also secured well over 500,000 votes more than the New Democrats, although obviously the New Democratic vote is more concentrated in key areas and was able to translate into key votes. As well, the Liberals finished a strong second to largely Conservatives throughout huge swaths of the 905 and in other parts of the province. And so I think that they will take great encouragement from that. The $64,000 question is, what is it going to be like for Bonnie Crombie not having a seat in the legislature? You know, that's been the case since she became Liberal leader in December of 2023. There are some advantages to not having to be in the legislature all the time, in terms of getting around the province, in terms of building up the party, recruiting candidates, that sort of things. She now has a 4-year runway to work with. And so the party will face a question, though, which is of the 13 or 14 or 15 seats they're able to win tonight, will one of those MPPs resign for the sake of allowing Ms. Crombie to enter the legislature?
She's committed to stay on as leader, but will there be a leadership review? Will there be a chance for other Liberals perhaps to say, wait a minute, we want someone else?
Oh, yeah. And that's pretty typical for political parties. But at the moment, I think Liberals will recognize that she has increased our popular vote from roughly 24% in 2022 to just shy of 30% in 2025, has obviously returned us to official party status. And, you know, she's done that with the equivalent of rusty string and tin cans in terms of the kinds of infrastructure that the party had when she became leader. So there are big strides in terms of fundraising, in terms of recruitment, in terms of on-the-ground presence. And again, very encouraging to see the Liberals perform so well in so many critical ridings. You know, they obviously came up short, but I think when we review the number of ridings in which they've come a strong second, I think they may actually be very well poised for next time, although next time is obviously going to be 4 years from now.
Now, you mentioned, of course, that the Liberals secured the second largest share of the popular vote, but that didn't translate into seats. From a strategy point of view, can the party come back and look at ways to try and have their support better spread out? What are they going to do to try to ensure that getting this number of votes next time translates into more seats in the House?
Well, I think it really comes down to beating Conservatives, and that can really start to happen in a really meaningful way with a shift in a relatively small number of votes percentage-wise. Full credit to Premier Ford for winning his third straight majority. I mean, that is an accomplishment that very few Ontario premiers have equaled. But his seat count appears to be down from where it was in 2022, even though his share of the popular vote is up by a point or two at this point over where he was at in 2022. I think there'll probably be a bit of disappointment in the Conservative war room, and full credit to an excellent campaign run by those folks, because they were internally expecting to win somewhere between 90 and 100 seats, but obviously things didn't break entirely their way. And frankly, some strong NDP incumbents in the Hamilton-Niagara region made a big difference in that regard.
Yeah, we absolutely saw some of that in our own backyard with some key races that everyone was talking about potentially going PC. They held on, and they held on to NDP. All right, that's Liberal strategist Charles Bird. Charles, thank you so much for your patience this evening. It's been great having you.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, we need a break here on Your Home, Your Vote. I'm Matt Ingram. Stay with us.
At Scan Decor, take 10% off our extensive collection of stressless recliners and sofas, or get $400 off stressless Max and Mike recliners in luxurious Paloma leather, or classic power base recliners in any cover. Plus, get 10% off the new Stressless Sky customizable luxury mattress. Shop Scan Decor, 4080 Fairview Street, Burlington.
I love walking, but it can be frustrating if my legs and feet are slowing me down. My pharmacy recommended a Revitive Medic circulation booster, and I haven't looked back.
Drug-free Revitive is clinically proven to actively improve leg circulation, relieve aches and pains, and help you walk further. Revitive Medic is also suitable for people diagnosed with osteoarthritis or diabetes.
I believe using Revitive has really helped me. Give it a go today.
For the latest offers on the Revitive pain range, see in store or revitive.ca.
To prove these underwear don't ride up, they don't bunch, and they stay in place all day, we're putting them to the ultimate test. kilometers an hour. They didn't bunch up, they didn't ride, and they stayed in place. Incredible.
Are you waking up to pee at 1, 2, or even 3? Do you find your giggles can turn to dribbles? You're not alone. These issues are common, but they're not normal. I had them too, and it's why I started Eurospot. We combine technology, education, and health coaching to help women and men say goodbye to bladder leaks, urgency, prolapse, and other pelvic health issues, including ED. How? Simply by sitting on a chair fully clothed, rebooting the connection between your brain, bladder, and pelvic floor.
As you age, your vision may change and your eyes may start to suffer. If you're struggling with cataracts or age-related macular degeneration, you can help maintain your eyesight. New Nordic's Blueberry Strong Tablet contains European blueberries and lutein from marigold flowers to help improve macular pigment optical density and help maintain eyesight in conditions such as AMD and cataracts. Blueberry Strong from New Nordic.
Welcome back. The results are still coming into the newsroom, but we want to check in with our key ridings desk, Emily Taylor, who's been watching all the results for us this evening. It's 11 o'clock. Emily, can you give our viewers a recap of what they may have missed?
Yeah, Matt, many of our results are in at this point, and I actually want to take a deeper dive at that popular vote first and take a look at how that compares to some of the polling that we showed you right off the top. So that latest Abacus polling had predicted the PCs were going to be at 45% of the popular vote. We're now seeing in the actual popular vote data that we are collecting a 43% for the Progressive Conservatives. Similarly, the Liberals were predicted at 29%, and we're seeing 29.6%. So again, that polling very, very close to what we are seeing. The NDP were predicted at 16. They've actually surpassed that, hitting 18.7, and the Greens just shy of their predicted 5% at 4.9% at the popular vote there. So all of our numbers are quite close to what they originally were, and 3.7% for our other categories. So that includes independents, New Blue Party, all of our other parties are grouped into that other party. I want to take a look at some of our key ridings that we have been talking about throughout the evening, starting with Hamilton Centre. Now, this was a big question mark for a lot of us. Would Hamilton Centre stay orange, as it has been an NDP riding since it was created, or would it stay with the incumbent, Sarah Jama, who was an independent candidate? She had started the NDP. She was removed from caucus just a few months later and then ran again as an independent. We're now seeing Robin Lennox has been elected the NDP candidate with quite a sizable margin there. She will sit in Queen's Park for her first term, but carrying on that NDP tradition. Similarly, on the mountain, though, we had some big question marks, but the polling had originally had PC and NDP head-to-head here, and instead we have of leading NDP, we are seeing is going with the PC candidate for the first time in 30 years there. Jason Godola, I had mentioned he's following this riding closely. Monica Ciriello will take Hamilton Mountain riding for the PCs. Now, I want to check back in with Burlington. This is a riding that we have been following closely throughout the evening. We still don't have a call in Burlington. Our two candidates are less than a percentage point apart, just a couple hundred votes. This has been a PC riding for the past several MPPs, with Natalie Pierre looking for re-election, but even before her we had some PC MPPs. But Andrea Grembeck, again, just a couple hundred votes behind, so we are following this riding closely. Hopefully by the end of the night we'll be able to tell you who has been elected in Burlington. If this goes Liberal, this will be the only non-PC riding in the entirety of Halton. It is quite a blue wave in that area. Now, actually, I want to take you over to Kitchener Centre. This is a riding that we haven't looked at. We do see Aislinn Clancy has been re-elected. She is one of two Green Party seats in the entire province. There was a potential actually for a third party seat. I want to go to that in Parry Sound, Muskoka, but that was Matt Richard. That was mentioned in the Green Party leader Mike Schreiner's speech that we had thought potentially this riding could swing green, but that wasn't the case. Now, Matt has been the Green Party candidate since 2007, and each election he gains more and more in the polls, and we are seeing quite the close race here, but this did go to Graydon Smith. He is the PC incumbent. That is a look at our boards for now. Let's go back over to you, Matt.
All right, thanks very much, Emily, and I want to bring the panel back into this to get some more reaction to tonight's results. Louis.
All right, thank you, Matt. Drew Fagan back with us. And Marie, I want to start with you because Hamilton Mountain going for the PCs for the first time in 30 years. Of course, that your old stomping ground. It was a close race, but those Liberal and NDP candidate really split the vote, allowing the PCs to take it.
Well, it has turned out to be a swing riding in many ways, but long swings. For example, it was NDP for about 18 years before 1995. It became a PC candidate won then. I know because I lost that election. It's my first election. And then I won it in 99, kept it for the following election, so for 8 years. I stepped down from politics. I didn't run, but my successor, another Liberal, won it so it was 12 years Liberal, and then it went NDP until tonight. Yeah. So, don't lose hope, is what I say to political parties.
Randy, staying in Hamilton Centre, the incumbent, as independent, Sarah Jama, losing her seat. Of course, she wanted to get back into the NDP party. Smart move on Marit Stiles' part for not allowing her back in?
Yeah, absolutely. Marit Stiles' strategy worked. The local riding association was pushing to have Ms. Jama run for the NDP, and the NDP's party structure considered it, they rejected it, and I think largely at the urging of Ms. Stiles, and they proved that they were right. They got rid of somebody that was a real thorn in the side of the leader. She wouldn't, the reason that she was ejected from the party wasn't really her views on the war in Israel. It was that she wouldn't conform to what the leader wanted to do, and you have to have caucus solidarity or your party doesn't run properly.
Well, Drew, to that point, there is no party more together, more solid, more behind their leader than the PCs, and now they have 82 seats. They have increased their seat total. They won the popular vote. What did you make of the PC's big night tonight?
Well, it's a great night for them. Again, it's an historic night. Now, where do we go from here? He ran on an anti-Trump. That's what he ran. He ran with regard to tariffs. Provinces only have limited power with regard to international relations. Once we get down to it, be a new prime minister in a couple of weeks, this is going to be a federal responsibility, responsibility primarily. Ontario also is an exporting province, and it's more dependent on the United States than any other province. We talk about 75% of our trade going to the United States. Ontario's closer to 85%. So we have to worry about what's going to happen over the coming months and maybe years even, and it's going to be primarily a federal responsibility. So we'll see what this majority government can do in that context.
Well, and Randy, that was Simon Kiss, our other panelist here tonight. He's been talking about this all night, that it's not going to be an easy 4 years for Doug Ford. He's going to face some challenges, a possible recession, a popular Liberal, or who knows what happens at the federal level. But
well, the tariffs become a reality next week. So we're going to have to see what Doug Ford does, where he spends the billions of dollars that he's been talking about we may have to spend, where he puts that money. Does he put it into business? Does he put it into supporting people that have lost their jobs or are going to lose their jobs? It's a big question. But as far as the future of Ford as the premier, I can't see him running again. I've given him a couple more years, and then I think the people of Ontario, especially if we have a real sagging economy, are going to turn against him. It's just cyclical. It's politics. The Liberals were really, really big. Then the Tories were. And I think it's going to swing back to the Liberals. I really can't see the NDP becoming much of a force greater than they are right now.
All right, especially with the popular vote right now for the NDP at 18%, the popular vote for the Liberals 30%, yet you see the seat totals there. Matt, we hope to have more from the panel, but for now, we'll throw it back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Louis. We got to take a quick break here, but afterwards, you're going to want to stick around. I have the executive director of the Hamilton Anti-Racism Resource Center, Lyndon George, standing by to offer his thoughts on what's happened this evening.
Welcome to Jackpot City. Enjoy classic casino games such as blackjack or take a spin with roulette. Explore our exciting virtual range of the best slots, including the Jackpot City exclusive Mega Millionaire Wheel. Jackpot City, casino games perfectly made for you.
Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this, when they could be seeing this. Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this, when they could be seeing this. Most men over 40 look into the mirror and see this, when they could be using this. Particle 6-in-1 Face Cream for Men, the first of its kind anti-aging cream designed specifically for men. Fights the look of eye bags, dark spots, and wrinkles. Visit particlemen.ca and use the promo code on your screen to receive 25% off your entire order. Plus, we've got free shipping and a 30-day money-back guarantee. www.particlemen.ca, because seeing is believing.
To prove these underwear don't ride up, they don't bunch, and they stay in place all day, we're putting them to the ultimate test.
They didn't move. 200 kilometers an hour. They didn't bunch up. They didn't ride, and they stayed in place. Incredible.
Meet Noodles. She's part short hair and part ninja. Meet the Bissell Crosswave Hydro Steam. It's part vacuum, mop, steamer, and ninja nemesis. Bissell, a new breed of clean.
Studies have shown that there are more than 10,000 unhoused veterans in Canada. Homes for Heroes Foundation, a registered charity, is building and directing tiny home veteran villages with dedicated social services across Canada. The mission for Homes for Heroes Foundation is to end veteran homelessness. Yeah, and with your help and with the support of companies like The Brick, there are now villages in Calgary, Edmonton, Kingston, and one under construction in Winnipeg. They stood on guard for us. Let's stand up for them.
Welcome back. Doug Ford's PC party has won its third majority in a row. For more reaction, let's bring in Lyndon George. He's the executive director of Hamilton's Anti-Racism Resource Center, which works to resist and confront racism and discrimination in our city. Lyndon, what do you think tonight's result means for racial justice and equity issues in our city?
Education, when it comes to affordability, when it comes to the ability of our healthcare system to be able to respond to the needs of its residents. The Premier, in his speech tonight, said that he had a strong mandate, and I want to ensure that today that the Premier is hearing that mandate includes listening to the voices that didn't vote for him as well. And that's the part of the democratic process tonight that we need to keep in mind, that there were individuals who went out there and knocked on doors that are Ontarians and are relying on him to live up to those commitments, not only for those that voted blue, but those that voted across the spectrum for issues that matter to them. So whether you were in Windsor or in Hamilton or Toronto or Ottawa, that we now have to find this path forward with the majority government that he has. We can't just keep going back to the kind of partisan politics that got us here. For an election at a time where it was prudent for him, but not for everyone else. And I think we need to be very mindful of how we bring people in this very divisive time back together to move things forward. I think that was a powerful speech, but I also think these actions in the next few months are going to be really important. Voters want to, if we look at the turnout at 27%, you start to look at it and say, where are people turning to the polls for solutions? And we need to be able to have that conversation on election nights where we can look at it and say that these numbers are reflective of a majority of Ontarians. And that's not what I'm seeing in the turnout here today. And when we have elections in the winter months, you start to think, is it a vote for issues that matter, or is it a vote for a political party and their specific agenda? And we need to make sure our politics work for communities.
And I want to get your take on the status of democracy in our province. As we see a party win a third majority, a party whose candidates refused to debate, which many critics have called a slap in the face of democracy, a party whose leader said it was his decision, bluntly, to not let his candidates face tough questions from media and communities like ours.
think it's that we don't talk often enough. And as you've had on the air here tonight, Ontarians are getting their news and information from different sources. And as we start to look at whether you're online or on X or on Facebook or at the coffee shop or conversations here on TV, we've got to start to have a conversation about our democracy and how it is intended to function. You have a member of your panelists on your panel tonight who put forward a bill to make sure that we had election dates that were set in stone, essentially, so that we knew when that election time would come. And that was a period in time in which you would assume that voter turnout would be at a higher number than today, not in January or at the end of February, where individuals are going out on the polls on cold winter days. So we need to be looking at here, not to be cynical about this process. This is something that we all should be taking seriously. And when we look at what's going on south of the border, we framed it so that it's about tariffs, but it is much more than just about that. There is this conversation that we need to be having about these democratic process, about the will of the people, and about what we are saying are, when we go to the ballot box, are about solutions to the problems that we face.
That's the executive director of Hamilton's Anti-Racism Resource Center, Lyndon George. Lyndon, thanks so much for being with us this evening.
Pleasure.
All right, Eric Viano is going to join us. I'm sorry, we're just hearing he's got Jenny Stevens, who just held on to her seat in St. Catharines in a very close race. So we've got her right now. Eric.
Yeah, that's right, Matt. I'm at the Meriton Legion in St. Catharines, where Jenny Stevens is, and her supporters are here celebrating. She held on to her seat. And I have Jenny right here. Jenny, can you tell me, re-elected here, what do you think did it? What do you think got people to vote for you this time around as well?
I think that the residents of St. Catharines had confidence in me for being their voice. First of all, I want to thank all the residents of St. Catharines for once again entrusting me to be their MPP and be their voice at Queen's Park. You know, we have worked hard together. All the residents of St. Catharines have worked hard together to make sure that Doug Ford has heard what they want within their community.
Yeah, when you were outdoor knocking, what did you hear from residents about, and what are you going to focus on, once again being reelected?
Yeah, we heard healthcare, education, and affordability. Let's get on to healthcare. You know, this Ford government has not looked at healthcare in the past 8 years. It's no better than it was. We have urgent cares closing in Fort Erie, Port Colborne, that is putting stress on our emergency right here in St. Catharines. Wait times are anywhere from 18 hours to 20 hours, and the seniors are frustrated. You know, you get into the emergency, you're sitting there for 18 hours, then what do? You get through triage, and you're in hallway medicine. This Ford government has to listen. We need to open up our urgent cares. We need to open up the Welland Hospital for 24 hours. We need to make sure health care is priority, not booze and corner stores, not this may I say expensive, unnecessary election. This has to be priority, healthcare. Now let's get to education. Want to talk about that? I heard it at the doors. Not only post-secondary, but also elementary. We have children that have autism. They're early childhood education workers also. They're struggling. We need to pay them a decent wage.
Yeah. And any quick last thoughts, just, keeping your seat, being reelected here in St. Catharines?
I just want to thank the residents of St. Catharines. Thank you for entrusting me once again. I will be your voice. The official opposition, we have it orange here. We have Wayne Gates, Jeff Birch, and myself. We are going to fight, and we are going to stand toe-to-toe with Mr. Ford and make sure your voices are heard, along with our leader, Merritt Stiles. We've done it for 7 years. I've done it for 7 years, and I'm sure that the residents of St. Catharines entrust and know that we are going to fight for them, but prioritize healthcare, prioritize housing, and prioritize education.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Thank you.
Thanks.
Again, Matt, Jenny Stevens reelected here in St. Catharines, Jeff Birch reelected in Niagara Centre, Wayne Gates reelected in Niagara Falls, and Sam Osterhoff, the PC candidate, reelected in Niagara West. I'll send it back inside to you.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. Now we got to take one more break, but afterwards we got a little non-election news and some weather. Stay with us.
Visit Goodnight Good Morning in beautiful Bronte Village for a complete makeover. We have the best selection of sizes in bras, swimwear, lingerie, and more.
It's the perfect time to get organized if there's something you'd like to get done around the house.
If you're thinking about a renovation or bigger,
Or perhaps a way to add value to your home.
a flexi-line could be your solution.
If you could borrow $80,000, $280,000, or even $2.8 million, how would you increase the value of your property?
Find out why Canadians have been trusting Capital Direct for decades.
Call 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL today.
CapitalDirect.ca.
Special announcement, Thursday only. It's the Great Canadian One-Day Sale at the Brick. A sale this big can only last 24 hours. Get 35% off sofas, sectionals, bedroom, dining, and home entertainment furniture. Select TVs below cost. Save the tax when you buy 2 or more major kitchen appliances. Plus free delivery when you spend $4.99 or more. Plus take 50 months to pay. That's over 4 years with no interest. Don't miss the Great Canadian One-Day Sale. Thursday only at the Brick. Saving you more.
He became the director of his life, and Exotica, an extraordinary travel crafter, made it happen. Start planning the life you want to see flashing before your eyes at exotica.com.
Are you waking up to pee at 1, 2, or even 3? Do you find your giggles can turn to dribbles? You're not alone. These issues are common, but they're not normal. I had them too. And it's why I started Eurospot. We combine technology, education, and health coaching to help women and men say goodbye to bladder leaks, urgency, prolapse, and other pelvic health issues, including ED. How? Simply by sitting on a chair fully clothed, rebooting the connection between your brain, bladder, and pelvic floor.
Welcome back. Let's bring you a few other top stories from today, but this one's still election related. Doug Ford has said repeatedly he needs a strong mandate to fight the tariffs that could start coming into effect next week, courtesy of Donald Trump. But with just days to go, there's no firm indication as to what's going to happen. Al Sweeney tells us more.
The president's comments have been inconsistent on what exactly is going to happen or when. First this week, he suggested a tariff delay until April.
25%.
25%. When does it go into effect?
April 2nd.
April 2nd for Canada, Mexico.
Correct. And for everything.
Today, he's back to next week with a social media posting saying the proposed tariffs scheduled to go into effect on March 4th will indeed go into effect as scheduled. The federal government says it's done everything Trump wanted to stop fentanyl crossing the border into the U.S. Trump didn't agree today.
As Mexico gets stronger in terms of the border, it goes up to Canada, and a lot of drugs are coming in through Canada. We can't have that.
So here's how things stand at the moment. Next Tuesday, March 4th at 12:01 a.m., a 25% tariff is to be imposed on all Canadian goods except energy. A 10% tariff will be imposed on energy. Then on March 12th, a 25% additional tariff will be imposed on Canadian steel and aluminum. Stacked on the earlier tariff, that'll add up to 50% steel and aluminum tariffs. Then on April 1st, Trump is expecting a report on Canada-U.S. trade with the threat of reciprocal tariffs to counter any trade or tariff issues the U.S. sees in Canada. Trump tariff watchers are wondering if the uncertainty is all part of a Trump plan to negotiate a lower tariff next week.
He's a man who believes that chaos and uncertainty works in his favor. So he throws out these numbers and these dates with the expectation that leaders from the other country will negotiate with him.
We're probably not going to know what happens until it happens.
McMaster economics professor Colin Mang sees a 50% chance there won't be any tariffs next week. But if there are, tariffs could mean a long and difficult recession.
If the Trump tariffs do come in and they are the 25% that he's been promising, we would see our national income in Canada decline by about 3 to 4%. So that would be a pretty significant decline.
With people in Canada worried.
Yeah, it's very scary. I think it's going to have a big impact on Canadian economics.
Canada needs to take initiative and kind of show the U.S. that we will not comply to the U.S.'s absurd stories or absurd goals.
Ontario is reporting 84 new measles cases over the last 2 weeks, nearly doubling the province's total count since an outbreak started in the fall. The new cases bring Ontario's total this year to 119 that were confirmed in a lab and 23 that are deemed probable, far surpassing the 101 total infections recorded in the province between 2013 and 2023. Almost all of the new cases are connected to an interprovincial outbreak that began in October, which has sickened 177 people in Ontario and also saw the virus spread in New Brunswick and in Manitoba. An Oakville man has been arrested in connection with a total of 16 recent robberies, including 14 at banks. Hamilton police releasing these images of a suspect yesterday. Officers with several police forces, including Hamilton, Niagara, Toronto, Guelph, Halton, and Peel, conducting a joint investigation. Hamilton police announcing today 52-year-old Alan Haxma of Oakville has been charged with 16 counts of robbery with an offensive weapon, 7 counts of disguise with intent, and 2 counts of possession of proceeds of crime over $5,000. All right, time for a quick check of the weather. Here's Steve Ruddock.
Thanks, Matt. All right, let's have a look and see what's happening to us over the next day or so. We're watching one system go by us, which will bring us a few flurries in the overnight period tonight. As we look into tomorrow, we're watching this low. It's an Alberta clipper. It means it's moving quickly through us, and depending on where you are, you'll get a little bit of snow, some rain, or 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. A little bit later on, we'll sort of give you an idea of where this could all happen, and then it's gone. And then after that, into the weekend, we're looking for colder conditions, but next week, it warms up again. So an interesting 6 or 7 days ahead as we finish off the month of February and start March. I'll be back in a few minutes.
All right, thanks very much, Steve. Time for one more break, but when we come back, we got more analysis inside tonight's provincial election.
A deep breath. Be in the moment as you journey to holistic well-being. The certified yoga teachers will support you along the way at Yoga Shala Wellness Center.
Did you know the Brick is 100% Canadian owned and operated? We started right here in Canada over 50 years ago. Now, our 5,000 team members are proud to be your neighbor in more than 200 communities across Canada. And we support all Canadians with a growing selection of quality-made Canadian products and manufacturers. Nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. The Brick, saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Action! He became the director of his life, and Exotica, an extraordinary travel crafter, made it happen.
It has to be more epic. Can we make it not? Greater, magnificent.
What did you wish for?
That it's affordable.
Start planning the life you'll want to see flashing before your eyes at exotica.com.
Yes, I know, Mummy. Yes, we miss you too. Exotica. Exotica, Mummy.
To prove these underwear don't ride up, they don't bunch, and they stay in place all day, we're putting them to the ultimate test. They didn't move 200 kilometers an hour. They didn't bunch up, they didn't ride, and they stayed in place. Incredible.
It takes seconds for an accident to happen.
And your life is changed forever.
Getting the compensation you deserve is not a favor.
It's a right.
Call us today for a free consultation.
And get Canada's largest personal injury firm
fighting for you.
Boost your sales with CHCH's advertising special. Tell your story and reach the customers you really want with custom TV and digital ads. CHCH is trusted by millions and the #1 source of news and information, reaching 90% of the Hamilton Niagara market, making us a valuable place for your brand. It's more affordable than you think with packages from $7,500. Contact us today for details on this limited time advertising special.
Welcome back. It's just past 11:30. Thank you for sticking with us here on Your Home, Your Vote. We got some more analysis for you. I want to bring in Stefan Dolgert. He's a professor of political science at Brock University and a frequent contributor here on CHCH News. Stefan, first thoughts about this third and historic Ford majority?
Well, I mean, I have to say congratulations to the PCs for running, an effective campaign. It was more a campaign based on emotion. It certainly wasn't based on, having the public and the media and other candidates be able to actually, debate issues with the PC candidates. But they did, what they needed to do and did run a very effective campaign, a very disciplined campaign. And that's, what you get paid to do, at the end of the day, at least when it just comes to winning an election. But, it is worrying from the standpoint of kind of democratic legitimacy. The panel has been talking about this all night, and I was really glad to hear that issue brought up. It's worrying when 57% of the voters are saying they don't actually like what the party in power is doing. I mean, I would say this, the same would be true if the Liberals were winning with 38% of the vote. Then it would be 62% of the voters were not, being effectively represented. So, you have 43% of the voters, and the PCs end up with 60-some% of the seats, and that's just not really ideal. The parties don't really have any incentive, at least the Liberals and the PCs don't really have any incentive to change that, because they're both always kind of fighting for that 40% mark to get over the 50% mark in terms of MPPs. But it is a little worrying, and it does lead to the kind of low turnout that we're seeing tonight, maybe even an historic low turnout.
So fast forward the clock. Let's say these trends continue to play out over the next few years, and we're looking at another election in 4 years. Is voter turnout going to be low again? Is our candidates going to refuse to debate or interview with the media? What do you think is the direction we're going?
Well, I think there is every reason to expect that the strategy that was effective this time would be, relied upon again. And I would call it a kind of absent father campaign. The PCs were playing the, we will protect you card. Doug Ford will stand up for you, stand up against the bully Donald Trump. But our candidates are going to be kind of absent when it comes to accountability with the media and other candidates. So yeah, I would expect this to continue. Of course, it's hard to say what's going to happen with all the tariffs, and there is going to be probably a lot more instability thrown our way, from the United States. But I don't see anything changing anytime soon, which is concerning. I have to say that the Liberals and the NDP really didn't do their job, so I can't say that they ran good campaigns, against the Conservatives. So in part, they have to get a little fire in the belly, I would say, and really fight a lot harder than they did and prepare a lot more effectively than they did. Hearing the Liberals at the beginning of the campaign complaining about, well, this is such an unnecessary election. Well, that kind of tells the voters you don't actually think that the PCs are doing a bad job if that's your main complaint at the very beginning of the election. So, the opposition parties just did not do a very good job, I have to say.
All right, that's Stefan Dolgert. He's a political science professor with Brock University. Stefan, thanks very much for your insights this evening.
Thank you.
All right, I want to throw things back over to Louis Bucco and the panel of politicos who've been advising us all night. How's it going, Louis?
All right, thank you, Matt. I want to jump off of something he said there, Drew, which is he doesn't think the Liberal or NDP did a very good job. What could they have done differently in this campaign?
They tried very hard to change the focus of the election. They wanted to talk about health care. They wanted to talk about education. They wanted to talk about scandal in the Green Belt. And if you think back to sort of 15 years ago when McGuinty tried for a third term, he was badly hurt by the gas plants. You never know what's going to happen. The Green Belt issue never really came up. So they tried their darndest to sort of change the tone and the focus of the election and the electorate wasn't there.
Marie, nothing stuck to this government. The Greenbelt scandal, Therme, Ontario Place. Really, this government has had some issues, but here they are with a bigger lead than they had before. How did they do it?
They didn't read the room right. Doug Ford did. We're all of us are pretty anxious about what President Trump is doing and saying. And instead of attacking Doug Ford, which I myself have done on this issue too, saying, why are you in Washington and not in Ontario? Perhaps what they could have done is said, who is the better person to fight for Ontario, as opposed to criticizing him for fighting for Ontario. Whether we like it or not, it's the psychology of the voter. They are worried, and he read the room right. That's one thing. The other is perhaps they could look at where they put their best candidates. Because with that popular vote, we should have had more seats. So obviously the seats where we lost, the candidates weren't winnable. And often they will do that. They will put candidates that aren't winnable in certain ridings. Perhaps a more statistical analysis has to be done based on these results for the next election.
Final thoughts here, Randy. What do we see the PCs do next? We heard Doug Ford talk about a lot of those promises that, Randy, when you look at the rest of what he's promised, he mentioned the tunnel. He mentioned pipelines. I didn't realize that was a provincial issue, but...
Well, it's not. And he's not going to build a tunnel. The thing is going to cost like $100 billion, $200 billion. Who knows? You know, he'll build his highway. He'll open up some subways. He'll build the hospitals that are already under construction. He'll build his medical schools. It's not entirely bleak. You know, they've spent a lot of money doing a lot of important things, and you know, they have to figure out how to get doctors in the province. It's outrageous that there's so many people in this province that don't have a family doctor, and they're going to have to figure that out.
Real quick, Marie, if you are, once again, part of the Liberal Party tomorrow morning, you wake up angry, what's your piece of advice for them?
Do a good analysis, a really honest self-critique on what went wrong. I disagree with one of your guests earlier. I think it was Charles Bird, and I know Charles, great guy. I do think we need a new leader. I think I can think of two leaders in the past, I don't have to mention names, that when they lost, they stepped down. And one of them didn't even lose her seat, but she stepped down as leader. And that, I will mention her name. Her name was Lynn McLeod. She didn't lose her seat, but she lost the election. She stepped down as leader.
Randy, Marie, Drew, really appreciate your insights all evening. Thank you for being a part of tonight.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, that's it from us here at the panel. We'll throw it back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Louie. After the break, we're going to check back in with Amber Mack, and Emily Taylor will join us with more on the local results. Stay with us.
I'm tired of waking up tired. Waking up tired. Yeah, waking up tired. I'm tired of waking up tired. Waking up tired. Yeah, waking up tired.
Here's your new magic window wall. Just unlock it, stack it, and of course, keep the bugs out.
We have so much space now.
It's fun if you go in and then out.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
It's not really magic. It's just better, smarter thinking. Find out more at magicwindow.ca.
Olukai shoes bring the comfort of walking barefoot on wet sand to any journey. Any moment can feel like you're stepping into the spirit of Hawaii. Say aloha to Olukai. Anywhere comfort, anywhere aloha.
You go to sandals to connect on a deeper level.
I've been waiting for this.
Time to get wet.
Thanks.
With the Caribbean Sea.
At Genesis Niagara, we believe all great relationships are built on trust, so you can be confident we are driven to exceed your expectations, not simply meet them. Every new Genesis includes complimentary scheduled maintenance. This is the Genesis difference. Genesis Niagara, serving Hamilton and the Niagara region. Let us come to you, or you can come visit us at our luxury boutique facility, 332 Ontario Street, St. Catharines.
Join us at Niagara College's Spring Open House on March 29th and experience NC Life for yourself. Register and attend for your chance to win a $5,000 tuition credit. Visit niagaracollege.ca/open house today.
Can a support bear make a difference in a child's life? I'm Nicole Martin, the proud ambassador of Comfort Bears, a registered charity that provides support bears to children with pediatric cancer, terminal illness, chronic illness, or experiencing trauma. And yes, these support bears have made a profound difference in the lives of over 8,000 children experiencing challenges we believe no child should ever have to face. Please visit comfortbears.ca to donate and to support children in our community.
All right, welcome back. We want to bring back in our tech expert, Amber Mack, one more time. Amber, I want to ask you about AI and how it may have impacted this election and any trends you're seeing for election cycles in the future.
Well, I think it's really important to note that artificial intelligence is probably going to be a threat in future elections. We didn't see it as a threat too much over the past few weeks, but certainly there are warnings for the future, especially around misinformation and disinformation. We know that that's one of the top concerns that we're seeing around the world right now. So huge issues with that. I would also add that Elections Ontario did a pretty good job over the past few weeks of putting out some content to warn people about issues with things like deep fakes and burner accounts and all of these issues that can arise in this world of technology. Even this evening, they actually tweeted out on Twitter another warning, maybe a little bit too late in terms of Election Day, on this subject. And finally, the last thing I will say on the AI front is even though it didn't cause any huge issues, we should all be very alert to what's going to happen in the future. Even in the U.S., President Donald Trump over the past few weeks has been using artificial intelligence to actually create images and videos on his own social media accounts and sharing those fake images, fake videos. So this is bound to come across the border.
Amber, do you think that misinformation and disinformation played a role in this election?
Well, I don't think it played a huge role in this election for the most part because I think it was such a short time frame. I think if it was a longer time frame, we would have seen more issues. There were some instances, for example, about what people needed to vote, some misinformation spreading online that you actually needed your voter card when, of course, you just needed your ID. So we started to see signs that this was an issue. And I think as we move forward in 2025, this is going to be something that we have to pay a lot of attention to because it is absolutely a threat to democracy.
All right, that's our tech expert, Amber Mack. Amber, thank you so much for joining us, as always.
Thank you.
All right, let's head back over to Emily Taylor on the Key Ridings desk with one more look at some of the closer races, bigger races, more important races. She's got it all, folks.
Thanks, Matt. Let's take a look at the seat breakdown in the legislature based on our current polling. So the PCs have picked up 2 seats from what we can see. They had 79 at the time of dissolution, currently sitting around 81. The NDP are so far down 2 seats. They're sitting at 26 currently. It seems the Liberals could end the night at 14 seats. That's what we currently have them polling at. That does bring them back up to party status again. That was one of the key goals of the Liberals, of course. The Green Party keeps its 2 seats. All right, let's take a look at some maps. Starting in Niagara, it remains relatively unchanged from before the election, with NDP incumbents Wayne Gates, Jeff Birch, and Jenny Stevens holding on to their seats. PC incumbent Sam Osterhoff also returns to Queen's Park to represent Niagara West. In Hamilton, PC incumbents Neil Lumsden and Donna Skelly hold on to their ridings, as well as NDP incumbent Sandy Shaw. 2 switch-ups, though, in our city. The NDP returned to Hamilton Centre with candidate Robin Lennox and PC candidate on the Hamilton Mountain with Monica Ciriello. She gained 36% of the vote. In Halton, Burlington is still neck and neck between the PCs and the Liberals. Just a few hundred votes separating those 2 candidates. We're still watching that race closely. The rest of Halton remains blue. Incumbent Stephen Crawford keeps Oakville. Effie Triantafilopoulos keeps Oakville North Burlington. Z. Hamid was re-elected in Milton. And Wellington Halton Hills will see a new face in the same party with Joseph Rasinski. Cambridge and Brantford Brant also stay blue, while Haldwin Norfolk has re-elected independent Bobby Ann Brady. All right, that was one last look at all of our key ridings in the Golden Horseshoe. Some surprises, many incumbents staying in their place even when we had questions about them going into tonight. That's all for me for now, though. We'll go back to you, Matt.
All right, thanks very much, Emily. Now we got to take one more break, but when we come back, I finally got Keith Leslie back with me. We're going to break it all down for you one more time and answer some of the questions. I got lots of them we didn't even get to. Stick around for it.
Learn more about the consequences of running a red at hamilton.ca/red light cameras. Use your head. Stop at the red.
I'm tired of waking up tired. Waking up tired. Yeah, waking up tired. I'm tired of waking up tired. Waking up tired. Yeah, waking up tired.
Look, it's not you.
That means it is me.
I just need space.
You're leaving me for a panda?
It just happens.
How could you do this to me?
He makes me laugh like you used to.
Casino Days. With thousands of games, mix it up. Play at CasinoDays.com.
We created these. We're 4 Canadian friends that quit our jobs because we hated our underwear. We couldn't take the chafing, riding up, and constant adjusting. So we spent 12 months creating our own. They're made with a premium modal fabric that's breathable like cotton, but it won't stretch out. And we designed them to contour and support the boys, preventing sticking. We also made it to Dragon's Den and received offers from 4 different dragons. So visit manmadebrand.com to experience ultimate crotch comfort today.
Whether on the go or on the job, the legendary Toyota Tundra will leave you Tundra-struck. It's time to be impressed. It's time to Toyota.
Great news! 2 new denturists have joined me and are ready to welcome you with the latest procedures and technologies. They just happen to be my son and daughter.
So take a bite out of life.
And come visit us at the Village Green Denture Clinic in Stony Creek.
There's a lot of people with disabilities that don't feel seen.
AMI is a broadcaster that strives to change the way people think about disability. Watch inclusive and accessible content on AMI TV or stream now at amiplus.ca.
Welcome back. We've got Keith Leslie, our CHCH political analyst and former Queen's Park correspondent, joining us again. Keith, thanks for coming back. You did bring up a couple of points about Bonnie Crombie earlier, so let's go back to Bonnie Crombie. Her commitment to stay on as leader, is that a mistake?
I don't know if it's a mistake. I really did expect that she would resign tonight, and I think when you saw the CHCH panel look at it too, they all just assumed she would resign. So when she said, she's going to stay on, it immediately raises the question, well then, is one of the 14 Liberals who managed to get elected tonight and returning to official party status supposed to give up their seat? This happened to John Tory when he was the Progressive Conservative leader in the 2000s, and in the general election, he didn't win a seat, and of course he had to get someone to step aside, and he eventually did. But that's going to be very difficult for Bonnie Crombie, I think, to find someone to step aside, and the Liberals will have an automatic leadership review after an election in which they've lost, and especially after one in which the leader does not hold their seat. We've seen previously, and Marie Provincial referred to it, where leaders who lose on election night resign their seat right away, and of course we go back to David Peterson in 1990 when he called that snap election. He had to resign his seat that night. I mean, and then we ended up with an NDP government, the only one Ontario's ever had. So we didn't see Bonnie Crombie so quick to jump off tonight. I think she's trying to show that she's dedicated to the job, but how she can go on, she's already had the job for just over a year and didn't have a seat in the legislature, and I think that hurt her tonight. So the fact she doesn't have one going forward is going to be difficult for her, I think, to help get the name recognition she needs. She's not going to be in there able to hold the Ford government to account every day like she would want to be. The Liberals, though, need to find, if it's not going to be Bonnie Crombie, they need to find a candidate. And remember, before she came along, after Stephen Del Duca lost so badly in 2022, they were so struggling to find a viable candidate to lead the Ontario Liberal Party. They asked, some of them wrote a letter to Mike Schreiner, the Green Party leader, asking him to consider taking over. So I don't think they're in that desperate a situation now. Bonnie Crombie has returned them up to nearly 30% of the vote, so that's a big thing. That's a huge accomplishment for her tonight. But I still think that the party is going to have to probably push her out and get a new leader in.
The long shadow of the defeat of the Wynne government in 2018. we're here 3 elections later, and we're still talking about the Liberals trying to bounce back from that. Given your experience covering Queen's Park, is this unusual to have a party seem to take so long to get back to what they once were?
Well, especially the Liberal Party, who were once, considered to be the natural governing party by certainly Liberals. And to see them, at least as say, they've got official party status tonight, but they were sent into the political wilderness in 2018. Couldn't even get enough seats for official party status. I think it was only 8 or 9 seats necessary at the time. Again, in the last election, no official party status, a leader that had to resign again. So this is a big deal for them that they got up to 30%. And if you look at it, we've been talking about the percentages of the vote turnout all night, but the efficiency, if you look at the actual numbers, the Liberals had 1.5 million votes tonight and got 14 seats. The New Democrats had 900,000 votes and got 27 seats. So that's really stunning. It just shows that the NDP vote is concentrated in specific areas where the Liberals have broad support in many areas across the province, but not enough to get them to hold seats in tight areas. And a lot of the races we saw tonight were NDP conservative races. The Liberals weren't even in a lot of them, especially in the Hamilton Niagara area, right? It was basically the Tories trying to unseat the New Democrats, and they did in Hamilton Mountain. So the Liberals have a big challenge ahead of them going forward. But this whole hangover from the McGuinty, in particular, the Kathleen Wynne years, absolutely is still trailing them, still dogging them.
All right, that's political analyst Keith Leslie. Keith, thanks so much for being with us tonight. Time for another short break. We'll be back.
Special announcement Thursday only. It's the Bricks Great Canadian One-Day Sale. Get up to 35% off furniture. Select TVs below cost. Buy 2 major kitchen appliances and save the tax. Plus free delivery. Plus take 50 months to pay with no interest. The Bricks, saving you more.
Being house rich to me means more control over how I retire. But to my house, it means so much more.
Francis, I do believe our petunias could use another splash.
Thanks to a reverse mortgage from Equitable Bank, he started to truly realize his worth.
It was the best thing Francis ever did for us. Like fresh caviar for brunch. I highly recommend it. Only you could get through my concrete exterior and bring out my emotional side.
Look, it's not you.
That means it is me.
I just need space.
You're leaving me for a panda?
It just happened.
How could you do this to me?
He makes me laugh like you used to.
Casino Days. With thousands of games, mix it up. Play at CasinoDays.com.
Olukai slippers bring the comfort of walking barefoot on wet sand to any occasion. So every get-together feels just right. Say aloha to Olukai. Anywhere comfort, anywhere aloha.
Learn more about the consequences of running a red at hamilton.ca/red light cameras. Use your head. Stop at the red.
Whether on the go or on the job, the legendary Toyota Tundra will leave you tundra-struck. It's time to be impressed. It's time to Toyota.
Special announcement Thursday only. It's the Bricks Great Canadian One-Day Sale. Get up to 35% off furniture. Select TVs below cost. Buy 2 major kitchen appliances and save the tax. Plus free delivery. Plus take 50 months to pay with no interest. The Bricks, saving you more.
Welcome back. Let's check in with Steve Reddick with the 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Matt. All right, let's have a look and see what's going on. So again, as the system leaves us through the Quebec area, we're getting a few flurries tonight, nothing serious. Temperature will be a little bit cooler than it has been for the last few nights, but we're watching this system right here. This is an Alberta Clipper, which will fly through the area as we get into tomorrow. We could start the day, or expect to start the day, with some partly clear skies, so that's the good news, but by noon, it will cloud up, and then as we get into the early afternoon, we're looking for some flurries. How many? Not exactly sure. And again, depending on where this system goes, but looking at the cooler side of it, it's from, say, Burlington north through Toronto. Warmer sector is Hamilton south through Niagara, north shore of Lake Erie. That's kind of how close that is looking. So if this happens, we'll start with a couple of centimeters of snow early in the afternoon, and then it will turn over in some areas to rain. If the system goes by as it looks right now, Hamilton, Niagara, north shore of Lake Erie could transfer into rainy conditions after 2, maybe 3, perhaps at the outside 4 centimeters of snow. But if you're in the Toronto area or north, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow is more likely as you stay in the colder side of things. That system will zoom through us, and then when we get into the weekend, we're looking for colder but drier conditions. Tonight's lows look like this. A bit of a mix with some showers a little bit earlier on. Now we're just looking for some flurries as the temperature slides down below the freezing mark in most areas. Your almanac for tomorrow, sun will be up at 6:57 a.m., down at 6:08 p.m. Normal highs usually about 1 degree this time of year. We'll start a little bit below the freezing mark tomorrow, but hopefully, again, starting with some partly clear skies. Your almanac and your planner for tomorrow, well, again, starting with a little bit of sun, but warming up by noon, some cloud, then into the afternoon. This is where the precipitation comes. Will it be rain or snow or a mixture of both? We'll have to watch and see how that develops. But as we look ahead in general terms, into the weekend, it cools off and also dries up with some partly clear skies. Then next week, more cloud, more precipitation, but certainly warmer temperatures. That's it, Matt.
Thanks very much, Steve. That's all the time we have tonight. Thank you for watching Your Home, Your Vote. Don't forget, Morning Live starts at 6 a.m. and they'll have a full wrap on the election results. I'm Matt Ingram. Good night.
Special announcement Thursday only. It's the Briggs Great Canadian One-Day Sale. Get up to 35% off furniture. Select TVs below cost. Buy 2 major kitchen appliances and save the tax. Plus free delivery. Plus take 50 months to pay with no interest. The Briggs, saving you more.
We're traveling all across Canada to talk to people about their hearts. Who wants to talk about their heart? Let me ask you a question. Do you have AFib?
I don't know.
You kind of hesitated. Like, how do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know. Let me show you something. Okay. This is called Cardia Mobile.
Okay.
Do you know what this is?
No.
That right there is a personal EKG device.
That's
Would you
great.
like to take 30 seconds and do an EKG?
Absolutely.
With Cardia Mobile, you can take an EKG in just 30 seconds from anywhere. Cardia Mobile is proven to detect atrial fibrillation, one of the leading causes of stroke. Cardia Mobile can also detect normal sinus rhythm.
How much do you think this costs?
Probably in the hundreds.
$99.
Oh, wow.
That could be cheaper than a tank of gas.
Taking an EKG anytime, anywhere has never been easier. Don't wait. Get Cardia Mobile for you or a loved one today for just $99 at cardiamobile.ca or Amazon.
Most of our clients who come through our door and who are suffering from mental illness, they're feeling a sense of despair and a longing for help. Often, insurance companies are denying disability claims on the basis that there's insufficient medical evidence. We've represented hundreds of clients who suffer from anxiety or depression. We fight for our clients' right to receive the compensation they deserve. If you've been denied long-term disability, don't give up. We can help.
Your long-term disability firm, contact law.
For over 25 years, Access Storage has been supporting our communities from coast to coast, protecting what's important to us. Access Storage. Buy Canadian, store Canadian.
Cancer and arthritis affect so many in our community. At St. Joe's Hamilton, robotic surgery can help patients recover sooner and with better outcomes too. But right now, only 3 types of robotic surgery are funded by OHIP. For the rest, St. Joe's relies on the support of donors just like you. Let's bring robotic surgery to every patient who needs it. Support the future of care at St. Joe's.